Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call to order at 06:03, not zero, but 6:03 PM, the meeting of the Greenfield Public Safety Commission. I'm going to read the statement. This meeting is being recorded by the Greenfield Public Safety in order. If any other person present is recording or online, please notify the chairperson at this time. Okay, seeing none. Public comment, members of the public online or in person will have up to 3 minutes to speak, once recognized by the chair. And well, I had roll call third, so that's why I'm following my agenda.
Okay. Yes, I have it. Sorry.
So we're gonna do roll call now. I have it a little bit out of order, but we have everything on the agenda this time, so.
Just so we have an official form.
Yeah. Commissioner Berger. Here. Commissioner Masatero.
Aye.
Commissioner Burge. Here. Commissioner.
Dixon.
Yeah, Dixon, I'm sorry. I didn't write everybody's name down, so. Okay, and I'm here too. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have Gary's absent and David, Commissioner Lanoy is absent tonight, so but we have a quorum.
We have a form.
So we will do public comment. So public comment, as I said earlier, you have 3 minutes to speak. I'll recognize anybody. So let's start in the room. Anybody in the room want to give public comment? Being done. Oh, well, wait, there's a couple people out. We do it. Anybody online want to give public comment? Please raise your hand or just speak up. Very good. And must have been somebody just walking through. I think there's another meeting going on in the other conference room, so it could have been people going in there. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda tonight, which is very quickly, I'd just like to touch again on because the chair kind of goofed up on the last agenda. So I just want to restate because now we have the police department here. We have major notification events in the town. I'm just asking that the chair or the deputy chair or that we get notified somehow at some point. I mean, I know everything's busy going on, but sometimes we hear from phone calls or we see it on public internet and stuff like that. And we need to be notified just so, and that, I would tell you, I'm going to be the last person that's going to rush to a police scene and get involved with a police scene. I want to do it when I was a firefighter, and I'm not going to do it as a public safety commissioner. So yeah, we just need to be notified somehow. I know the chief has set up something with when they have a structure fire that we get notified, or a major event that we get notified by dispatch. So if we could just make some kind of arrangements with dispatch when they have a moment and answer 911 phone calls and getting everybody dispatched, that they can make a phone call. They do have my right number now, so they won't be reaching out to Maria, they reach out to me. So with that being said,
I don't think it's more of every single call. It's just something that major happens in town. We would like to know about it.
Yeah,
that's all.
Anybody else have a comment? Okay, so we'll move on from there. We're going to move on to AMR. I'm a man of my words. You guys will always go first.
That's fine. How's everyone doing?
How are you?
Good. Long day. That works for you. So, my name is Mark Perrott. I'm an op sup with American Medical Response here in place of Kim D'Angelo. She sends her regards. I know she sent the numbers. Everything's pretty much kosher for the last month. I do have actually some things to talk about. So, first, the shift bid. We do an annual shift bid. That just happens for Springfield and Greenfield. So it just allows, the shifts aren't changing, but allows the paramedics or the EMTs to be able to swap their shifts if they have schooling based on their seniority. That's just kind of an annual thing. So that'll be going in July, and then it usually starts the first Saturday after Labor Day. So I have a feeling most of the Greenfield EMTs and paramedics will stay in their shift, but it just allows them the ability to do that. We do have a new medic that is starting at the end of the month for overnights in Greenfield. So he will go through the upgrade process, and if he completes the orientation process and clearance of the medical director, there'll be a full-time Greenfield medic to cover one of the night shifts up here that are open. So, and then the Earn While You Learn Academy that's starting actually on Monday. I talked to the program director. It doesn't seem like there was anyone from Franklin County that applied. However, there are 2 candidates that are in the class that actually, when we asked them, would you like Springfield or Greenfield, they would actually like to come up to Greenfield. So once again, if they make it through the entire academy program and get cleared, they will be up here as 2 full-time EMTs on some of the BLS trucks. So that is the update there. Kudos to Greenfield Fire. As you know, I usually work in Springfield. I was on my way home and I was the first on scene for that rollover on 91 North Route 2 that hit the guardrail and ended up getting light flighted about a couple weeks ago. So Greenfield Fire was great and my crew was great. And I think it was a positive outcome. I think the patient ended up being fine. But everyone did a great job. And then that week also was EMS week. So we were up here on Thursday to celebrate EMS week with the Greenfield crew. So myself and the rest of the leadership team, Kim and Patrick, and some of the clinical supervisors, we were up here for breakfast and lunch and basically made them whatever breakfast they wanted. We have a grill at the thing. And then we ended up, we don't tell the Springfield crews this, but we did steak and baked potatoes for the crews because it's a smaller cohort instead of hamburgers and hot dogs. So they got fed very good. And then on top of that, on EMS week, the first day on Monday was our graduation from our annual paramedic program and the current EMT program. And we also honor SAVE Awards. So that is basically honoring people from all of 2025 who basically had a cardiac arrest save with someone with they call it a CPC score of 1 or 2. So that is someone that went into cardiac arrest. And basically they walked out of the hospital completely neurologically intact or had some just mild deficits, but basically returned to their normal life and can live their normal life. So in Greenfield, we had one last year in July. So just to hand out the words, we already did ours for our AMR folk, but for Greenfield Dispatch, it was Amy Foote and Johanna Diode. I said that right. There you go.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Oh, actually, can I get that piece of paper? Okay. And then for Greenfield Fire, Sir Captain Andrew Garvin, Lieutenant Michael Chat, Firefighter William Streeter, Avery Nye, Brian McCarthy, and Luke J. There you go. I don't pronounce things very well. And Chief on the PD side, Sergeant Brandon Lagoy, Alyssa Farnham, Brent Griffin, and Joshua Barber. So no problem. So with that cardiac arrest in 2025, that person, a Greenfield resident, walked out of the hospital and is living their normal life today. So
Thank you for that.
no problem.
Thank everybody involved.
That's all I got.
That's it?
That's it.
Really? Huh. That was a lot.
Hey, go ahead. Go ahead, man.
Mayor?
I had just a question. Will you at all be affected with the EMS override that did not pass in Deerfield? How does that affect the communities and our neighboring communities? Does that affect you at all?
Well,
They had an override on 400,000, which did not pass, and it said EMS. And I was wondering how that affected all of us.
I'm not too sure.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. I mean,
You didn't know I was gonna be asking that.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not too sure. What was it, a town provision or a state provision or?
It's town, and I don't know how that, you know, I'm not exactly sure, like, as you are about how and how all of this interacts, but South County, Range, or whatever. I was afraid that it was gonna have an effect just locally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think,
Do you service Deerfield? Deerfield?
no, that's South County that
That's South
services
County.
them. So we have a mutual aid
Yeah.
agreement with them. So
Okay.
like if they're out on calls, we will go. In fact, I was just at a debriefing with all the EMS agencies for that COW and VA that happened, that both ALS trucks, Greenfield went for mutual aid for that, so.
I guess I didn't understand all of that. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Just a request. Can we set it so when you send your monthly report, it just goes to all of us?
Yeah. To everybody today.
Yeah, I know, but it might just be if you're out, or it might be easier if they just put all of us on there.
That's totally fine.
They're all the time.
I'll find an email that has Kim on it and then I'll make sure that.
The mayor has.
Okay,
I like it as well.
okay, yeah, no problem.
That's fine. I mean, it's to be easier for.
We used to list our emails on the town webpage, but it doesn't anymore. I looked at it the other day.
Really, they don't on the public safety?
No, under public safety, so.
All right, well, if you need them, we can
We'll
get
check
them.
that
No
out.
problem. Or I think there's one email chain you might have sent back to Kim that I think you
Yeah,
might have had.
exactly.
And I
If
got
not, then I'll
CC'd
send
on
it-
it.
I'll
So
send
yeah.
her a copy of the
Yeah, no
email
problem.
chain. Yep. Excellent.
Well, thank you for your service.
No problem.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're done with that. So this time I do have the police department on the agenda. They're not gonna get off the hook. So come on up, folks.
You know, last.
They're not last. I promised that I would rotate. And since I messed it up the last time, I kept the rotation.
You rotated us right out last
I
night.
rotated you right out of the building last time. After you left, I'm not saying that we haven't steering the box, but anyway.
Yeah.
So if you guys could just introduce yourselves for the folks out there.
Chief Todd Dodge, Greenfield Police.
Deputy Chief Chris Green, Greenville Police.
We spoke earlier. Oh, you got them all in here?
They're all in there.
Oh, okay. All right. Did you want to move the hearing or you want to?
Yeah. Do you want to give them some time to see if they show up?
It's fine. Either way, it's going to be done one way or the other. So yeah, that's
Um,
cool. You want us to do our presentation?
do the presentation and then we'll give some time. If that's okay, the sheriff's department, they're here also. Okay, thank you.
All right, standard report. First off, from the police department, our heart goes out to the Don Sud family, who perished in that horrific crash in Virginia. And also to the individual's family who was found today in the river. So it's been a tough period for a lot of people. So we're thinking about them. I know, not to speak for, but I know the mayor's thinking about them too. We've talked a lot about it. So that was a community shakeup, to say the least. Calls for service in May, total calls handled 3,768. That's up 52 from the previous month. We should probably start back.
You have 4 months worth of stuff.
Let me go back to the.
Yeah, don't do Mays, because May's not on here. We'll do Mays at this coming month's meeting. We are still gonna have this.
Our regular meeting,
Our
regular scheduled meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is just making up for,
We have February, March and April.
yeah, you have February, March and April, yeah.
Do those. Okay, so calls handled in February, 2606, that was down 300 from the previous month. Total time spent on them was 1,332 hours, down 91 hours. Calls handled in the downtown business district was 208, which was 39 less than the previous. Incident report issued was 126, which was up 4. Accident reports issued was 52, which was down 5. Arrest reports issued were 31, which was down 10, and citation issued was 246, which was up 23 from the previous month. Lieutenant Raul Kanash has been adding a little bit of data for us to be more clear what we're doing. So the citation breakdown is 2 arrest citations, 12 criminal application citations. Written warnings was 221. Civil charges for citations is 11 and verbal warnings were 60. So taking that into account, there was actually 306 interactions on motor vehicle stops. So the 60 verbal warnings isn't documented in the form of the citation. I hate that they do those that way, because it doesn't record it. But anyways,
Question.
yeah.
On, when you do a written warning, it's written so it's recorded?
Yes.
So if you pull that same person over and you have an interaction, you can see the history?
We will anyways, but it's easier for us to see. It comes up easier if a citation was read.
Okay.
So although when we run, anybody we run and we have dealt with in our system gets entered into our system. So you will see that call in perpetuity in our CAD systems.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a way to find it, but
Yeah.
like I've always said to officers, if you're gonna go out of your way to stop the car, a written warning doesn't do anything. You can go home, throw it in your trash. But at least it documents the stop. It formally documents it on paper that you stopped, and here was what we talked about, so there's no challenge. We do have body cameras now that we can obviously bring up and things of that nature, but it's still always better to document the stuff.
But when as opposed to a verbal warning, you're still you're still checking their information, but you're just giving them a verbal, not just written on paper.
No, everything's
You're still
shared.
running them through the system.
Everything's the same except for the.
For the
actual
written
issuance.
action.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow, this goes back. Special reports in February was Emily Ralph Nash promoted to lieutenant.
Yeah, we did that, yeah. we did
Corey
that.
Green promoted to sergeant. New officers, Jed Henry is back. Eric Warden transferred from Irving to Greenfield. We were gonna introduce Derek, but we were immediately left off. The EV charger was installed. Locker room project is completed, so budget report tracking well as usual, except for cruiser maintenance, which has been the bane of our existence.
In March.
Do you have like year over year data for calls handled? 'Cause I'm wondering how much of the up and down on month is like depending on the weather.
We didn't have year to year, we can do. Started to do it.
We did give a year,
Did you at the end of the
You
year?
gave us a
We did.
last year's total.
Yeah.
we did,
I can't remember when you did it, but you did.
I think at the end of the,
end of the year.
end of December, well, December,
Probably January.
January, not fiscal year, but
I didn't know Mark.
year.
And dispatch usually gives us the breakdown of the calls.
Total calls.
Total calls.
I got it.
You give us the breakdown of total calls, like total 911 calls, right? Okay.
For all agencies.
March. Well, calls for service was 3,323, up 717 calls. Spent on calls was 1,493, up 161 hours. Calls handled in the downtown district, 323, which is up 115. Incident reports, 123, so they were down 3 reports. Accident reports, 47, down 5. Arrest reports, 33, so they're up 2. Citations was 297, which was, let's see, 9 was up 62. 9 arrest citations, 21 civil charges, 13 criminal citations, 249 written warnings. Hey. Oh, I must have been the town, city ordinance, charges too. Got cut off. Let's see, special report. Well, Derek was gonna be here, but.
Again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Scoble completed his FTO program and he's on solo patrol as of April 9th. He's on the midnight shift. Miles Master Taro has completed his FTO program as of March 30th, 2026, and is currently assigned solo patrol on day shift. Jen Henry completed 1 week of refresher and he's off and running.
Get work.
Yeah. Let's see, EV charger installed and fully functional. It's nice.
It's really good because it's in every month, talking about that charger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We'll hear again in April.
It's still working. There we go.
And we're working with the DPW to get some protective barricades in front of it, so nothing bad happens to it. And that's recently been in the works too.
We take on officers that have previous experience. How do we get them introduced to Greenfield culture? You like to say we do stuff differently. So see, Jedediah was only 1 week in training and now he's on his own. Does he know how?
Started with the new, or he wasn't here that long to begin with. So he came here only a few years back
Mhm.
and then left somewhere out east, more out east where his family was.
Only
It
for a
didn't
few,
work out for him. Yeah.
only for a few months.
It was a few months
His
he came back.
separation from us was short, and then he came right back. So-
Someone like Officer Mastrotaro would just have more time with an FTO to learn? Is that?
Again, he was relatively fast because he's been an officer for a long, he was a sergeant in Plastow, New Hampshire. He went through the academy in Mass, so he had served as a Mass police officer probably 10 years ago. Then transferred to Plastow, made it up through to sergeant rank. His family's from here. So a lot of what we have to do in that is to actually reteach him Mass law and procedure. I know constitutionally it's the same, but locally it's much different. You gotta get familiar with the chapters and sections, things of that nature again, but in the FTO program is yes, he's introduced then to the philosophies and how we're doing business here. Yep. I don't know anything about
Familiar with Greenfield because he was raised.
Yeah, oh, yeah, he was
here.
born and raised here, yeah.
He was in high school and stuff like that,
Yeah.
so he's familiar with Greenfield.
He was in our opinion, he was a win for us, an easy, transfer in and train up and on the road. And honestly, with his experience and his age, a lot of our younger officers are taking to him really fast. And I see him being a mentor through the ages for them. So it's really good for us. April, we had 3,716 calls, which is up 393. Time spent on those were 1,631 hours, which was up 138 hours. Calls handled in the downtown business district was 368, which was up 45. Incident reports issued was 106. Incident reports issued 163, which was up 40. Accident reports issued was 40, which was down 7. Arrest reports issued, this counts for physical arrest, not summonses, was 58 arrests. That was up 25. Citations issued was 330, which was up 33. That's the arrest citations, civil charges, civil complaint, written warnings, and municipal bylaw violations.
The next page has the numbers on it.
May was a quick or ticket traffic enforcement grant activity. So Emily went as far as to break that down to tell you what this grant caused to happen. In the month of April, officers were assigned to 15 dedicated shifts totaling 65 hours for distracted driving traffic enforcement as part of our traffic safety grant. Total traffic stops done during this grant now. The previous one was everybody. This is relative to the grant. There was 134 stops. Total civil charges for citations was 15. Stop line, light, hands-free violations, marked lanes, lights violation, defective equipment, uninspected motor vehicle. Total written warning citations was 85. Much of the same stuff. Total verbal warnings, 27. Same stuff. Total criminal summonses were 6. Crosswalk, unsafe operation, lights violations, defective equipment, stop line lights, suspended operation, unlicensed operation, impeded operation, unregistered, suspended reg, allowed unlicensed operator. There was 2 OUI arrests and 1 other felony arrest during that grant exclusively. Not much happened other than we want to again reiterate to you that the EV charger is installed and fully functional.
I'm still
In
waiting.
case you haven't
Still waiting on the
heard, it
barricades.
still looks really
Is that gonna be like
good.
a monthly thing? You gotta
Apparently
promise
the
that it's working?
Cord got stuck in the truck and Nick Limoges had to figure out how to get it out.
We're pursuing a rebate
Oh, yeah.
for the truck for $7,500. So I just completed that paperwork yesterday. And so we should get a rebate from Ford or whoever does the rebates for.
Yeah, so credit where it's due. Carol Collins had that on her desktop for quite a while. We couldn't apply until we got the truck. We needed all the paperwork and all that. So the deputy chief went to work on that with her assistance, and we're just waiting back now on getting a rebate for $7,500 on it. Anything we can get right now. In terms, well, we're at budget report, so I'll also add that Jack Vanass, the chief of GCC, he was funded by the state to actually start an academy. And he jumped through, he did a lot of work. He invested a lot of time, a lot of energy into that. The end result was it got dropped. So it would have been great for us here in Western Mass to have an academy right here in Greenfield. The state, rather than saying, send us all this money back, they said allocate it out to departments who would send people through an academy. So Jack Vanass came to the deputy chief's office last week and gave him a check for $7,500.
Yeah, 75.
Yeah, so I mean, that money helped us in that way. So we're thankful to Jack for thinking about us. And again, I learned of that through the Franklin County Chiefs meetings. It was one example of why those meetings in our memberships are important. I wouldn't have known about it if we didn't have memberships in some of those things. Co-response activity that month, total calls were 37. No Nobody was hospitalized. Section 12, 7 Section 12s were served, which is the involuntary middle paperwork. We diverted 4 from the ED. No officers injured, no summonses. So that was good on that month.
Are any of our co-responders licensed clinical social workers?
I didn't think they have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So I don't know what their status is, but I know like, one of our most recent hires was completing their masters to get that license, so couldn't work yet. So I believe, yeah, I think they're clinical, what was it you said?
Licensed clinical independent social worker.
I think they are. I'll have to confirm it though. I'm not sure. What
That can
they're-
be confirmed.
Yeah.
So did we not do co-response from March and February and March?
She was on vacation for a bit, the one who does all the entries into the program.
Yeah.
And she has it on her desktop,
Okay.
and no one has access to her desktop but her.
Okay,
So that's why we're missing some co-response stuff.
and are we back to two folks now?
3.
We're at 3,
We have
back
3.
back to 3 now?
Yep.
The rest will leave for May. The June's meeting.
Surprise.
Yeah, May, so don't print them off first again, we have them. First we're gonna
Well, there'll be
change.
more. Well, Emily was busy doing some policy work today, so
Okay.
we can add to it.
Just out of curiosity, what does that check we got from GCC, what account does that go into?
To be determined.
Okay.
Right, so we'll get it and then it won't be our final decision as to where it goes. That'll be a city decision where. I believe there's many accounts currently in the red. Not horribly, but my request would be to offset some of those or one of those.
So it can be used for, there's no set stipulations with the state that it has to be used for something certain. It can be
It
used.
just
for
goes
anything
back
you
to
want.
our fund because we paid to send someone to an academy. Yep. And it took care of, just for the record, it took care of more than just academy tuition. Like they took into account that there's additional expenses. That's why it's 75. Yeah. You dog here?
Just touch on the fiscal year 26 budget, how are you? doing?
Fiscal year 26, we were working hard on that the last couple weeks. For all intents and purposes, I'd like to think it looks like I said, there are items in the red, but overall, it looks like we're gonna cross the finish line in the black.
Excellent, okay. And-
Just barely, I think. We had a massive, as you know, cruiser maintenance
Yeah.
overage.
Yeah, it says, yeah, I think
It's
every department,
retirements.
the maintenance line item in every department, no matter.
We had buybacks, yeah.
Dog officer, they're all underfunded because it's just the nature of the beast, I
I
know.
think if we can save a buck, we'll save the buck.
Yeah, exactly. Just touch briefly on budget report for FY 27.
We're happy with what the mayor came up with. So again, did we ask for more? Of course. That would have been a 35 position budget. She dropped that by 1, but again, we're not losing a physical person to that. It's just not filling one that we don't have, which is fair enough. We can do that. We'll be fine. We'll be fine with the budget the mayor had suggested.
Okay.
There's a lot of talk of the lack of transparency for some of the budget items. What I want, this is what I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, and I know everybody's got a lot of stuff to do on a day-to-day basis. The problem with it is I would label everything down to the letter if I had the opportunity to do so that everybody could tell what we're spending our money on. I can't change Munis. I don't have the authority or clearances to go in and make. So there's one item that has been brought up so many times is our police accessories line, which is like $26,000. The only thing I can say to the public is those are all the things that we buy not captured in a currently listed line item. And I have every one of these purchases that I've sent out. I've sent the councils has seen them, but yet we're still called lack of transparency. They know everything we've spent our money on. If I had my way, I'd be able to go into Munis and retitle things so that you can see more accurately what that 26 is being broken. There'd probably be 4 or 5 more categories that I would say this is our community impact unit would have a line item. Interviews and hiring and promotional processes would have a line item. They're not free. There's things that we have to spend money on. And there's other sort of other obligations that we spend money on that I would clarify. I don't have the ability. I can't do that, but I can tell you this, we spend it. And not carelessly, that's for sure.
And there's checks and balances. I mean, the mayor's office checks them, the accountant checks them, everybody's checks them on you, so it isn't like you're spending money on popcorn and movies. So.
Mhm.
Everybody gets checked. and
May have
double
been some
checked.
popcorn.
I know that, Bryce.
Is there something we as a commission could do to support you in getting those added to Munis?
Well, again, me and the mayor just met. She knows, she made a list. I'm confident she knows now. So, I don't think it's any secret that our accounting department has gotten beat up like over the last few years. It's been tough. It's been a tough place to be. There's a lot of things to do, a lot of departments at work, a lot of money being moved around. And we had a lot of work to make up for lost time. So we had so much turnover that, we've had to spend a lot of time training new employees just to get the basics of their jobs going. So these other little things were kind of left aside. At some point in time, I'm sure when the dust settles, it's been noted enough where I think we can get to that point. It'd be great for us to be able to actually show a line item and have it reflect what that line item actually is. Like I said, last year, the deputy chief and I put the substation lease money under prisoner meals. I didn't know where else to put it, but I can't change the title. And the problem with that is even between all of us who are doing many different things a day, that almost got cut because it said prisoner meals. We don't do that anymore. I'm like, oh no, you got to click on the box, go in, and then you'll see it says substation lease. So it's all in there. And I think we'll get there. I'm confident we'll.
That's why I always said Munis is so cumbersome to get around, and it's hard to get around. Yep.
So, I just printed out the last 3 years of those, and just for the record and for the public who might be listening, kind of divided them into categories in my head, but there was a significant amount of medical supplies, oxygen, et cetera. That was a category. There was a significant amount of things like for evidence, and, did have several different categories. And I think that ident something was probably fingerprinting. Okay.
Yep.
So, I looked me out, and I'm gonna send a letter to city council before the meeting in June.
Are the other departments having the same struggle with spending money, but they can't put it in a category in Munis?
I have no idea.
So the only person that can make the labels for that, is the CFO, maybe Catherine as well, the accounting. And so, we spoke about things that we knew, like this, so we have to make a category for rent because we didn't have that. And this one, it just happens to be one that is being looked at, that I think it's a $24,000 appropriation, could have been broken down further, but actually it's not being asked in general of other departments. Most departments have just a few categories, and we don't break it down into 20 different things of what it is. And policing accessories could have been something that sufficed by itself, but if people want further breakdown, I hear that for next year, we'll do it. But there's a couple of people that have access or permissions in units to relabel things, and you can't actually that won't be given out to everybody, but I'll make sure we have more categories for next year, and that everybody knows what those categories were for next year. But you don't subdivide everything. Purchase of service, we just say something like purchase of service and hope that people understand what purchase of service means, and we explain that. And as I said, that usually flies through the budget because we have, broken it down somewhat into 100 categories.
If people want the information and want it broken down, I'm sure it would be supplied. So if for us, if any of the chiefs come to us and it says service and you want a breakdown, I'm sure we'll get a breakdown of that.
I've sent it a couple times.
Yep. I mean, obviously the system is a challenge, and you're right, May, you don't want to give you know, a lot of people access to be able to change categories. That wouldn't be a good thing. So it makes sense to, that it's just gonna take some time to get it up to speed. And
She set up a meeting we're gonna discuss this, so every minute we get to try to enhance our skills on something like that, like Munis, we're gonna do it. And she was gracious enough to set up a meeting between at least the police department and those who have access and accounting. So, I watch it, like, there's some, to me personally, look like there's some labeling. Why is some labeled, some aren't labeled? Again, it could be a Munis thing, I don't know, because Judy can bring up Munis in a way and so look at, they are all labeled. I'm like, I looked at it this way and I saw 3 labels. She looks at it and there they all are. And like, again, there's many ways to skin the cat, Munis, I guess, to get to the same report, but
It sounds like a quick version for
Yeah.
cities, you know, so, yeah. Depends on their access and who labeled it. to begin with.
Right.
and ours are, you know, I've been in there for several years and there's been no changes. So it is probably slightly antiquated and we could be more clear on what gets better. Easy enough.
I watched the public comment at City Council, I guess this was 2 weeks ago. I was excited to see the public support for the public safety budget. One thing that kept coming up was cutting the downtown resource officer would be kind of the first thing to go, it seemed like. And I was wondering if you could talk through your like thought process on why, if so many people want the downtown resource officer, that would be the position that's cut if the public safety budget is cut.
So funny enough, I don't know where that came from because I'm getting destroyed by that. I've never publicly said we're gonna cut anybody. So I know I've been accused of having crocodile tears for not getting what I want. I don't think we're asking for anything exorbitant. So the answer to your question, however, is we have over 45,000 calls for service a year. Our primary responsibility is those boots on the ground, running to the calls that we receive through dispatch and going to those calls, right? That's first and foremost always going to be our priority. So if we lose a certain number of individuals, the deal, I guess for the lack of a better term, the deal with the city was if we have ample people, we can provide these very beneficial services. I'm the one, you can ask the mayor, I'm the one who asked if I could do a downtown business that I saw that this would be a good thing. The deputy chief knows very well, we've talked about this, always in agreement that attention needed to be placed in the downtown area. Those things can only happen if we have the resources. We can't do that if we have just enough people to chase calls all day, right? We also have, whether people like it or not, I guess, we have Matt Llewellyn, who's our community response officer. Matt Llewellyn is probably one of the busiest, not just the name, the position is probably one of the most busy positions we have. Matt Llewellyn and his dog gathered his fellow comfort dog handlers and they went to the school that the Donchev family, and I'm not trying to gain any kind of, but that's what they do. I didn't even know that. And again, last minute, I asked Matt, are you doing something? Oh yeah, no, we already got it set up. He does this on his own. Matt has a prerogative. He has protocol that he follows and he is in schools all the time. He's interacting with children all the time. When there is in fact a traumatic event, Matt is always first there talking about it. Matt would have to go. And could there be discussion? Absolutely. But first and foremost, this police department has to come to you when you call. And if we have someone whose mandate is to stay downtown, we can't do that anymore unless we have our shifts filled with a couple extras like a community resource officer and a downtown business district officer. Again, when we were talking 35 officers, which the mayor graciously approved last year, there was supposed to be 2 downtown business district officers. And that was my recommendation because I believe that need exists significantly now. You need to be there. We need to be present. But if I have to make some sort of decision, if we lose people, I have to answer the calls first. At some point, hopefully calls either go down or we get funded again and we put those positions back. So although I've never publicly said that, and I don't know where everybody's attacking me for saying that because I haven't said that, it's reasonable to think those are the positions that have to go first. To be completely honest with you, it would probably be the community resource officer that goes before the downtown business district officer. But I can tell the world, both of those positions are extremely valuable to this community. You cannot put a price tag on the things that these people are.
For the fire department, they have a recall model where they pull people in if, you know, everyone is out on calls. Is that something that would work like with how policing works, where maybe we have fewer people on patrol so we can have the downtown resource officer? And if we have extra calls, we recall extra officers, or does that just not work?
Well, it's a financial thing. So you cut one place, you add another. So our overtime budget was budgeted at $85,000 a year. I may be mistaken, but the fire department's budget was closer to $200,000 a year. And like us, they have gear, they have stuff, they have to come here. There's a delay in time. Like fire, in many cases, time is in fact of the essence. It's just not how we do business. So if we go on a call, we send only those who are currently working. And then once there, we assess and reassess and reassess. And that constant reassessment happens throughout the entirety of that call. We'll bring in the resources that are required as it develops. Fire across the world work somewhat polar opposite of that. They call the resources in ahead of time, right? And then they'll like kind of drop resources over time. So we function differently. So my concern would be if we only have 2 people out on patrol, handling call to call, and we call in resources, 99.9% of the time in our experience, that issue is over before the person even came in and put his boots on. So now the city's paying a 2 to 4 hour check-in time minimum overtime, and they're going home. I don't see it working for police. It's not reasonable. We're saving a lot of money. If that was to be discussed, then yes, I'd be fighting with the mayor for also a $250,000 overtime budget because it happened daily 5 times a day. So again, we prioritize calls. There's level 1s, 2s, 3s. Again, you see the statistics here. We're dealing with stuff we don't want to have to deal with, but we don't make that choice. We're trying to do the best we can in eliminating crime in the downtown business district. It was entirely designed to calm downtown so that we didn't have to worry about so many calls down there. When you see all the calls for downtown business district officer, I'm happy to say that's proactively initiated stuff. It doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean we're called down there because of something horrible going on. Zoe or anybody walking the beat on Main Street just calls it in and says, I'm doing a premise check of the energy park. That's a call. That's the good stuff. Proactive.
I also don't see how they could go to less people per shift, which is what that would mean. If we were doing that, I don't think that would be safe for the city, for the size and the number of people that we have less than what they have on a shift.
I'll give you an example. So for say a domestic violence call comes in, we're not sending less than 2. And that's an officer safety issue. That's an everybody safety issue. So if we were down to that many, your whole police department's now tied up. So at that moment, when we're getting that call, we got 2 going to a domestic, dispatch is now on the phone and they're calling 2 more back. I don't know when they're going to make it here. I don't know. So what if another domestic incident comes in right behind that one, or another something happens? So our theory is we like to keep 2 response teams of 2 available. Now, when we have 2 response teams of 2, and that includes the supervisor. So most shifts, it's a sergeant and 3 patrolmen. You'll have patrolmen out doing proactive motor vehicle stops, premise checks, things of that nature, and they'll have to dump them and run if an emergency call comes in. So yeah, it would absolutely be negligent of the city to go below 4 in a community of this size, I think. And with the call volume that we have, 2 groups being able to respond to an emergency, most of the time, what we don't do when we need extra help is our first knee-jerk reaction is not to call in people from us. We call Montague, we call Deerfield, we call state police. Those are the first calls we make, which that doesn't cost us any money. So we team up regularly and they'll come over, they'll jump the border to us, we'll jump the border to them. Because again, at the end of the day, we're doing everything in our power to not spend money if we can do it and still provide the same product.
No, I was thinking about positions and personnel as far as cutting. Because if you were looking at the downtown as his concern about, cutting that, it wouldn't be the person, it would be the position.
Exactly, yeah,
So
no.
still, you could end up putting somebody else because of seniority. Is that correct?
It's just rotational, yeah.
Hmm.
As people go, whether through attrition or whatever, because of budget cuts. Not sure exactly where, for example, right now Zoe is our downtown business district officer. I don't know where she stands in terms of seniority. But if we were to lay people off, she may not be the one laid off. Right? So we'd still have the employee. It would just have to go somewhere else.
Last in,
Right.
first out.
What's that?
I said the last in, first out. This is the way it works.
We've had so much.
The problem with this whole situation is, and this isn't a put down to the council because they work hard and they have an important job to do. But they need to make decisions based off of facts. And they can't make decisions based off of their political beliefs or what they personally believe. They gotta look at the facts. And we have 4 officers on a shift and we're taking 4,000 calls a month. 4,000. So you don't even have to tell me what you just said. If there's cuts, we're not gonna have a cop walking the streets, talking to the businesses because they're gonna be out running calls. We have 4,000 calls a month. That's the bottom line.
And the city holds the liability if we don't make it there.
So, I mean, you can't tell somebody that calls into dispatch that, no, we can't make it because we're downtown walking the beat. It's just not gonna happen. So, there has to be, everybody's gonna think real wise about the decisions that are gonna be made the next month. And that's what it comes down
Well,
to.
and I get some of their criticisms because some of my numbers presented at the budget thing weren't correct. But some things to take into account were contracts weren't yet signed. So I went off of basically a form. I added 3%, right? Which is what they got, but it doesn't compute to exactly the same number. It ended up in that budget hearing. I actually had asked for $3,000 less than what we need, even though I was kind of challenged and said, you're spending too much money. I asked for too little. So my math actually almost screwed me over, $3,000, right? So in going back and do the math, if you remember, the city wasn't able to finalize the books until beyond the deadline last year. So I didn't have the numbers to go on in some of those cases. So were they wrong? Absolutely. I'll say it all day long. You're right. I was wrong on my numbers. But there was a couple of reasons why I was wrong on my numbers is I had to make predictions in some cases. And those predictions ended up being pennies off is really what it came down to. Now, over the course of a year, that translates into thousands, but it would have been 3,000 to my detriment in that case. It would have saved the city $3,000.
Whether there was mistakes or not, you correct mistakes all the way up to when the budget's gonna be voted on. That's normal. Go to a private business, and if they're putting a budget together, there's gonna be people that are checking to make sure things add up. And we're all human. Mistakes get made. But the bottom line is, I don't care I care that the budget's gonna be cut, but whether it's cut or not, the question is that there's still gonna be 4,000 calls a month that somebody has to go and service the people of Greenfield. Whether it's a police, it's social worker, or somebody else, they better make sure that it's 4,000 calls a month and that Greenfield expects those calls to be serviced, period.
Residents of Greenfield are spending $233 a year on it. To me, that'd be worth it. Boston, residents of Boston spend $650, just as an example. So
That's a good comparison because a lot of times I lived in Boston. I grew up in Boston. A lot of times people in Greenfield, and I'm not putting anybody down, but you're in Greenfield, maybe you never lived in a metro Boston area, but things are quite expensive. I mean, if you compare our water bill to somebody else's water bill, it's triple, 4 times as much. So the $600 a year for each resident for public safety compared to the $200, that's a big deal.
yeah, 3 times. Yeah. Any more questions?
Nope. On to dangerous dog hearings. Could you give us a little background why you made phone calls and why we
All
decided
right,
to
so-
put this on the agenda for the public safety to assist the police chief?
So first and foremost, I appreciate the fact that you're even entertaining this, and I'll explain why. I did one, and only one. And it was, the mayor said it went good. I thought it went rather chaotically. So we did it in the meeting room at City Hall. They require public posting. They're an open meeting, so they need to be posted, and we need to follow open meeting law. From my perspective, not to burden a group, I am an animal lover, like probably most of us. I don't want to make a sole person decision on the disposition of an animal. I would rather a committee talk about it and come up with a rational disposition to any dog or pet. So having said that, my thoughts turn to this commission. We're already doing it. I'm not reinventing the wheel. We're already conforming, or we're doing all the public meeting, open meeting law stuff. So I did ask the chair was willing to entertain it. Dave Lanoy called me yesterday, I think, and we talked about it. That's a good idea. It used to happen in the city. So I didn't know that, but my main intent was I don't want to reinvent the wheel and have to call for yet another public meeting and do all the postings, do all that stuff when it's already done here. So Kathy Scott and Quinn in the clerk's office helped out a great deal. They created the forms that conform to mass law, MGLs. So I had those forms. They were served to any involved parties on the investigative side. So that's why Kyle Dragon's here with us today from ACO, who, as you know, now we have a regional animal control officer. We sort of conceded to them last year.
July 1.
Yeah, and they've done an amazing job. It's taken a lot of work off our hands and saved us a lot of money, incidentally. So the documents were created, the service to the pet owners were created, and a return of service I made. So I have all that. And with that being said, if you're going to have the open hearing, I'm glad the mayor's here, because anybody going to testify and it has to take note, be under oath, which is one sentence, if you would be so kind as to read that.
Okay. We have that? Do I
But
have-
first you have to call for the meeting, and then you got to close it at the end of the dog hearing.
Yep, very good. I just wanted a little background on
Well,
it.
we're all new. I just,
Yeah, yeah,
we're gonna
yeah.
trip through this for a minute.
Yeah, we're all gonna stumble through this together. But when the chief approached me on it, I said, well, it only made sense that why one person's making, which can be construed as a biased opinion or unbiased opinion, however you look at it. Now it's just not a party of one making it, it's a panel that's coming together and discussing, coming up with a solution or an outcome of it. And I thought that way it was better. Me too, I have a dog of my favorite dog on my phone, and I carry it with me forever, and I probably will. I am a dog person, I am an animal person, but we'll leave that, I won't go any further there. So I will now call. How do we want to say, do we want to give the address that the K9 is living at? Like I said, we're all new
No,
here,
we'll
so I'm gonna have to
end up
open this
talking
up
about that.
somehow.
So if you just open the hearing and then
You can talk now.
request the mayor to administer the oath, those who are gonna talk.
Yep.
And then it goes right to,
Okay.
I'll open up the case from our side.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
One quick question.
So I was reading the law and it seems like we have to have the complainant here. And the only form I've been given, that person who's the complainant isn't at this meeting. Can we have this meeting without that person here?
You can, because the police department's also complained to this.
Right.
That was just an individual who had sent in a written complaint, so I included that in the packet.
Do we have a written complaint?
Complainant, or you mean the dog owner?
The complainant.
The complainant
person
is basically all of our stuff. So I have all that notification stuff here. Us,
Yeah,
Does this
those
count as a
those forms
written-
are just something that we use on our end, to allow us to gather information from.
your complainants here, it's the ACO and police department.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? No. Everybody, okay, so I will open the dog here at Dave's Watch is better 6:57.
Okay.
Anybody who wants to, is gonna talk to me. Raise your
So anybody that's gonna talk about this, please raise your right hand. Okay? All right. Do you,
We will talk about it.
okay,
But you guys are the board, so you don't need to be
Yeah,
sworn in.
okay.
Only he'll give testimony to be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Thank you, glad you were here.
Before we start, I have a question. So the dog owner has been served
Yes.
that this meeting is happening tonight, correct?
Yep, and I have a return of service here that shows Chris Rouse served that on 6/1/26 at 12:50 PM in hand to the,
Okay, great.
yeah.
That should go in the records when we gather all the information.
So I'll read it just so we can stick to this. What was given to her was notice of dangerous dog hearing. Dog's name, as far as we know, is Poopa. Poopah. It's a possible pit bull. Letter serves as formal notice that the City of Greenfield Public Safety Commission, acting as the hearing authority pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 140, Section 157, has received a written complaint alleging that your dog, identified as Poopa, may constitute a dangerous dog and or nuisance dog under state law. Public hearing has been scheduled today, June 3rd, 2026 at 6 PM, Greenfield Fire Department meeting room, 41 Main Street, Greenfield. Hearing Authority, Chief of Police and Public Safety Commission pursuant to MGL 14157. The hearing authority will investigate the complaint, conduct a public hearing to determine whether credible evidence supports a finding that your dog is a nuisance dog, dangerous dog, or whether the complaint should be dismissed. At the hearing, testimony and evidence may be presented under oath. You will have the opportunity to attend, present testimony, submit evidence, call witnesses, and respond to the allegations made in the complaint. Please be advised that under Massachusetts law, a dog may not be deemed dangerous solely based upon barking or growling, based on breed, or under certain circumstances involving defense, provocation, or trespass. Should the hearing authority determine the dog is dangerous, remedial actions or restrictions authorized under law may be ordered. And if you have any questions, contact me. So that's what she was served. We have a litany of calls. I'll get right into it because that's where we're at. This is from Officer Brent Griffin, which for all intents and purposes seems to be the beginning of the trail of this. So it actually worked out well. On September 2nd of 2025, Officer Griffin, along with Officer Ippolito, responded to 136 Conway Street to serve paperwork. Megan O'Laughlin resides at the above mentioned address. Officer Ippolito was primary and made first contact with Miss O'Laughlin at the side door. I observed Officer Ippolito give several instructions for Miss O'Laughlin to step out. Miss O'Laughlin hesitated for stepping out and then retreated back into the apartment. Officer Griffin was covering the back entrance. Officers were greeted with a large pit bull mixed dog that was acting aggressive while barking at officers. At this time, I was at the side door with Officer Ippolito, and Ms. O'Laughlin was attempting to force the door shut. I pushed the door open, stepped inside while being attacked by the dog, actively barking, snarling, biting, and jumping up on me. Grabbed the defendant and escorted her out the side door.
What was the date of this?
September 2nd, 2025. So while at the station, Officer Griffin observed that he had fresh scratches and a bite mark on his right elbow with dried blood on his right elbow. He advised the sergeant at the time of the injuries. That's that. This is our call log outlining the calls that we've had regarding this animal. I'll just go through these quickly. On December 22nd, 2025, dog left in a crate, been barking since noon. October 8th of 2025, the ACOs responded to this location for a dangerous dog, and the dog was removed, taken to the shelter. On October 2nd, 2025, there was ACO 1 was there investigating a dog bite. September 12th, we were at the house again for a gun call. And the female threatened to sick her dog on people apparently that were in the park area that day. On September 2nd, 2025, the officer injured report was made in the log for Officer Griffin. 2/11 of 26, the ACO responded to a dog excessively barking at that address. Let's see. Then the dog was removed by ACO again that day. On February 3rd, we got a report of the dog hanging out of the window barking. On January 16th, dog sticking his head out a broken window and shivering, believes it may be a pit bull. ACO's checked out the dog. On April 4th of 2024, possible dog bite, serious injury to the dog from that address. Dog to dog. December 5th, 2024, officers were waved down by a party who stated pit bulls running loose in the area chasing kids. ACO dealt with that. On 5/11 of 2026, I apologize, I never put these in order. Officers responded to that address for a medical, and ACO had to be contacted due to the aggressive nature of that dog. March 9th, 2026. He's a property owner for this location. So the Mike Mendick and his partner, Mike McGrath, came in, and apparently this is a long-term event, even with them, and they're concerned the dog is very dangerous. They can't even get into their building because of the dog. And apparently there's other civil stuff involved between Megan and them. But again, they're afraid of that. On April 27th of 2026, there was assist another agency serving citation for tampering with a fire alarm. And from what I recall there, the dog was there and was aggressive towards fire. So it's actually at the point now, 11/10/2025, I think you went over that, dog was aggressive. So it's at the point now where the word I was given by various public safety agencies, including ambulances, that they're not gonna go in the house. They can't go in the house because when they go in there, the dog is extremely violent towards them, which now that's a public safety problem. So I don't know if you want to read your list over, Kyle?
Yeah, I can read my list over.
Dealings, I'm sure some of it's gonna overlap what we.
So some of it is gonna overlap with what Chief Tadaj. For the record, my name is Kyle Dragon. I serve as Deputy Sheriff, Lead Regional Control Officer for the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. Franklin County Sheriff's Office started Animal Control Program in 2019. We assumed animal control services for the city of Greenfield July 1 of 2026. So if there was any prior records of all this stuff prior to us coming on board, we do not have those records. So unfortunately, we have to start from scratch zero. Our initial involvement started with this dog on December 22nd, 2025, when we were contacted by a female party who was later found to be residing in the apartment with the dog owner. She did claim the dog owner was on the lease. That is a bone of contention between the landlord and her with the extension of the lease, and not my wheelhouse. However, that individual was residing there. The individual that called to us was subleasing from that individual. She was advised that we could not just go remove the individual's dog if they were on the lease, because she had entered that apartment. She also alleged the dog had bitten her, never provided documentation, proof, or anything of those bites that ever occurred. Fast forward to October 2nd, 2025. We received a report from several anonymous citizens on Conway Street, as well as an individual from 136 Conway, that the K9 had broken through the door, the screen door of the apartment, ran across the driveway, and attacked a gentleman who was walking his 3 dogs. There were alleged injuries. I do know the gentleman was treated at the emergency room. We did receive a report from the emergency room that was for the health inspector, so they can issue the quarantine against the dog. That individual has been completely radio silent to us to this date. Never reciprocated any contact attempts we've made to reach out to him. So we've never been able to get his side of the story or receive any additional information, minus the one hospital report indicating that he was bitten by a dog.
What was the date of that?
That would be October 2nd. Okay. Following that, we received a report on the seventh, that there was a gray pit bull type dog running loose, in the park. At that point, we had not confirmed it was Pupa. On the eighth, we did confirm that. We went to the apartment. Pupa was removed from the apartment at that point in time after speaking with the health director for the quarantine violation, because Pupa was under a 10-day quarantine. The dog owner, Mangalopo, was not abiding by this quarantine, so the Pupa did complete his quarantine at our regional shelter at Turtles Falls. Pupa was found to be extremely volatile with staff upon being removed from the premises, and intermittently while in the kennel setting. He was completely hands-off for the entire rest of his quarantine. And then we worked with Megan, and Pupa was returned. When he was returned, he was current on his rabies, which has since lapsed in December of last year. And he was also licensed before he left, which is also currently lapsed. The dog is, as of my knowledge as of today, still currently unvaccinated, not currently vaccinated against rabies, not unvaccinated, and not licensed in the Commonwealth. We didn't hear much about him after that. Then mine is talking with the landlord, going back and forth a little bit, because the dog had returned to 136. I advised him that majority of his issues he was having were civil in nature. And I think we couldn't just go take the dog. We didn't have anything to take the dog on. That would require municipal orders or some major event for us to go remove the dog. He then did complete a nuisance dog hearing complaint. We do have a copy of that information in your packet that was forwarded to the hearing authority, Chief Dodge. And then we didn't hear much more in regards to the dog until December 22nd, when it was in cold weather and snow in a crate beside the dumpster outside, while the dog owner was allegedly cleaning her apartment. Based on witness testimony, the dog was outside for approximately 3 hours, during which it had been barking. We did not have a weather advisory in effect right then and there, unfortunately, so we couldn't act on that much. She did bring the dog back inside upon our arrival, so we rectified that situation. On January 16th of 2026, we received reports that the dog had broken a window in the apartment, was sticking its head out the window, barking at people in the park and walking by. The dog never broke containment besides sticking its head outside the window. So again, it was not at large. On the February 10th, 2026, we received a barking dog complaint for the dog. A notice was left for the occupant to contact us. We never received any contact of that. Fast forward to the 11th of February, we were contacted at approximately 5:30 in the morning by the Greenfield Police Department, requested to respond to assist. They were conducting a well-being check inside the apartment because no one had seen the dog owner to check her well-being. We entered the apartment, found it in states of squalor and disarray. The dog was unattended, no visible food, no visible water. And again, no one knew who the owner was, no one had seen the owner. At that point, we as animal control made the call that we were going to remove the dog from the apartment because of the condition of the apartment and the lack of the apartment being secure to keep the dog contained, bring it to the shelter until we could ascertain where the owner was and then move forward from there. The owner was located and the dog was ultimately reclaimed from the shelter. I spoke with the landlord on the 9th of March, just looking for options. I again advised him of the dog hearing. He then went to the police department and spoke with Chief Dodge. On April 10th, we were contacted by Greenfield PD for a gray pit bull running at large in the park adjacent to 136 Conway. Prior to arrival, the owners had collected the dog and we were all canceled. I do not have confirmation if that was Pupa or not. However, based off of the information that we learned, we're fairly confident it was, but again, we don't have confirmation with that one. On the 27th of April, we were requested to assist fire and PD at the address of the medical. Following that, a citation was issued to the dog owner for failure to license, failure to vaccinate. On the 14th of May, we were requested to respond to assist Board of Health, FD, and PD at the address It was standby only, there was no, upon arriving on scene, there was no services needed upon our arrival. And on the 21st of May, the landlord contacted us, advised he had received third or fourth party information that someone else had been bitten by the dog. We received no such actual reports. I checked with the police department and the hospital. They had no such reports. So someone was bit, it was never moved to the chain. Outside of this, that is not documented. And I wish the landlord had been here to speak to these. I have received several third and fourth party reports from him, from other tenants and other individuals working in professional setting around that building. We've had interactions with this dog and were supposed to contact us, but never did, so we can't really take their testimony. Because they never actually filed any complaint with our agency. But I just want to put that out there that there are allegedly other individuals. So that's where we stand. As far as we have found the dog to be extremely volatile with staff. Every time it's removed, it does have to be removed on a control pole, which is a steel pole, because otherwise it tries to bite us. There is at least one confirmed documented bite to a human with the bite to Officer Griffin. There is the attack where the dog did break loose from the house and attacked the three dogs on the street as well as someone walking. That was collaborated obviously through several neighbors and other witnesses to the area. However, I don't have any formal complaint on that. And then there was another individual which we later learned, I believe Chief Dodge can speak to it. She originally stated she was bitten by CDS, but then later informed the police department that it had actually occurred by that dog at that address. That did not come to us. That statement was made to the police department. So I will let the police department speak on that, because they're the ones who took that report.
Yeah, no, that's accurate. That wasn't included in what I have here, but yeah, there was an incident involving, I think, a medical. The officers found the individual, the female party, in the CVS parking lot. And through that unrelated call to a dog issue, but she basically was very clearly had an injury. And the officers, while asking about the injury, she said it was something else. And then would later say, truthfully, I was bitten by Pupa at sexual. So
is she friends or?
Yeah, acquaintance.
Or acquaintance?
I would go with she's an acquaintance to that address.
Yeah.
So potentially the dog is bit. The Officer Griffin was bit by the dog.
Yes. Yes.
So potentially there's three people that.
So there are 3 bites that two bites and an attack, which did result in injury. The gentleman was treated at Franklin Medical Center for a bite. Don't know if it's his dog, that dog, whatever. That's neither here nor there. It occurred because the dog was loose and interacted with these dogs while restrained. So basically, you could look at it, depending how the board wanted to look at it. There are at least 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 5 people who have, at least in some capacity, stated that they've been bitten by this dog. But as far as an official complaint or evidence to support it, we only have the couple. The other thing, minus the breach of the enclosure for the dogs on the street, to my knowledge, all of these bites have centered around within that apartment. None of these have been at large. We do have the report of the dog right at large, allegedly chasing children. And it is adjacent to the park right there, and it has been at large in that park. She does, I also have knowledge that I believe when we were there, currently the dog's tail is attached to the dumpster outside of the apartment. So she clips it and then it's just free range outside the apartment.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
So before
No,
we
was facing
move,
the other way.
understand that if the complainant and the dog owner's reps are done, the deliberations must come after the close of hearing. So if no other people are speaking on behalf of this, you can call the close. And then we open up the discussions about.
Right, so basically, this is your evidentiary phase, so basically you hear all testimony, you can ask clarifying questions to testimony. At that point, once you guys finish hearing any and all testimony, you would close the hearing, you would then deliberate amongst yourselves, and then you would render your decision.
But
Once
you
close the
you
hearing,
have
we
to
cannot-
deliberate in open,
Yes.
in
Yes.
open. So.
I do have some questions.
Yeah, let it rip.
But we
Yep,
had to
just letting you know,
close-
so we stay.
We have to close the hearing. before
Or just clarification on evidence, you're open to ask clarifying
Yes.
question now, that
I
is.
do, based on evidence, I have a couple of questions that I want to ask, so,
Yep,
okay?
Yep.
So actually, it's one question on the two calls on 427 and 54. Can you speak a little bit on why you were called to assist the PD, the FD, and BHO on these calls? 427 and 514, you were called to assist the public safety entities at this house for
It was
a
a-
standby or whatever.
Yeah.
Why was there concern? that-
so let me see, so,
I guess that's my question.
ACO Staliga responded on 427, her note is, it's just assist, GFD in UPD at 136 Conway. And my knowledge to that one is speaking with ACO Staliga, was that was an unrelated medical at that address, that the dog was in the apartment. So they requested us there in case they had to secure the dog.
And that's where, so the point now is that that's what's happening every time first responders go to this house. They're invoking the assistance of ACO because of the history of the
Did
dog.
you have to restrain the dog?
No.
Okay.
We did not have to make
How
contact.
about on 514?
514, that was the same, that was an issue, it was an overdose in the apartment. They were able to, the dog owner was on scene and was able to secure the dog into a back room. So they were able to secure the dog, and emergency services was able to do what they need to do for the patient. But again, we were requested to the scene
Yeah.
because
Your opinion on how the dog's demeanor was while people were in the apartment? or-
by the time we got there, that one had already squared away, and everyone's, we reconvened outside the apartment. I could hear the dog inside the apartment, but I never got to see the dog in the apartment. Based off of my past experience with the dog, I would assume that that dog was probably acting in a very, very aggressive and territorial manner around that apartment. And if you're not the owner or someone very close to the owner, that dog probably takes exception to you. I know the dog does not like me.
Like you.
It does not like me.
I have a procedural question.
Yes.
When you close, as part of the meeting, it's just us deliberating, can we still ask you questions?
Yes, so you cannot hear any new evidence after you close the hearing. Once you close the hearing, if there's something that was unclear with the evidence that's been presented, you may ask a clarifying question on the evidence, but I cannot then go tell you about a new call or some other.
Can we ask you questions when it's closed about if we make this determination, what are the consequences for the dog? Or
Absolutely.
so we could ask those detailed questions after.
Absolutely. And I believe you all should have gotten a draft of a dog hearing decision protocol.
Yes.
So, and I'll touch base on it right now, just for the, so the commission has it. So basically, once you close the hearing, the first thing you guys are, after deliberating, you're gonna have to decide is, are you dismissing this complaint? Are you finding the dog a nuisance? Or are you finding the dog dangerous? If you dismiss the complaint, then that's it, we can all just go home, and that's the end of it. If you find it a nuisance or dangerous, at that point in time, you would then deliberate in open session to decide what restrictions or preventive measures or orders this commission would like to place against this dog. If you find the dog a nuisance dog, it allows the commission a little more flexibility, whereas they can come up with a resolution that would alleviate this issue. That would alleviate the issue. Depending, and the commission can decide what they would do. If you declare the dog dangerous, there is in the back of that packet a list. It starts with It's gonna be almost to the back. It's gonna be dangerous dog hearing results. If you determine the dog is dangerous, you do have to pick at least one of those 7 out of that list. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, page 5.
Page 5.
Like that. It should be dangerous dog hearing results,
Yeah.
or if you guys are back,
Open session.
providing they were stable in order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine are just not stable together, so.
Yeah.
Dangerous dog hearing results, okay.
Yeah,
Have it pulled
so
up
there
on the
are
computer.
7 options there, 7 being the most harshest, which is the humane euthanasia of the dog. But if you find the dog dangerous, you have to pick one of those 7 by statute. You can add other stuff in too, like you're going to require the owner to do training for the dog or this or other such things, but you have to at least pick one of those 7.
Thank you for.
Janila to speak.
I have something to say for a complaint that came to me, but I wasn't sworn in. You want me to say it? Or somebody else could swear me in?
You swore in, so
Okay.
you swore us in. I just say what you got.
So I had a grandmother that complained, I didn't ask the dates. And it was down there at the park on a day that the dog got out, took her 2 or 2.5-year-old child away, and it was allegedly that dog. And I've since spoken with Christy Moore about, its proximity to the park. This grandmother was at the park with her grandson.
You responded to calls at the park. Have there been any injuries? And what
Yeah,
behavior is the dog?
it's been reported. So every time we've responded to the park as animal patrol, the dog has been secured by the time we get there. We have not found the dog at large at the park. The closest injury to the park would be on Conway Street in the parking lot, that second parking lot close to the park, where that attack on the dog happened. That interaction. The only other thing I'll add with your guys' decision is that whether you guys, whichever you determine, if you determine nuisance or dangerous, the violations for violating an order followed under either nuisance or dangerous are exactly the same.
Question, I don't know if this is the time or not, but I know they several times it's been listed that the dog was not licensed and not current on rabies in particular, and I know there were some fines set or submitted to the owner. Have those been?
To my knowledge, this has not been made.
I just talked with the clerk just a couple days ago, and the dog is not licensed. I talked, just to add a little bit before we close out, I talked with the owner on the phone and her, I'm guessing, significant other. And he seemed to like to talk for her during the entire conversation, but nonetheless, the suggestion on their part was, can we get a muzzle for her? So my concern personally about a muzzle is that the incidents are taking place inside the residence. So muzzles are generally like you take them out in public, you put a muzzle on and they're safe. Our first responders is our concern. So when our first responders are entering into this residence, is the owner going to actually put that muzzle on? I don't know. So again, but it is an option in what you're going to see. But it's relatively inapplicable because it's inside the apartment. And this is where our first responders are having concerns. Every time they go there, they're being attacked by the dog. But they definitely, the owners are very much interested in keeping the dog. That's not going to change if they have a single.
And this dog is known to be left unattended for significant periods of time in this apartment, so.
Go ahead, Commissioner, you go first.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, go
We're
ahead.
still we are in
You're
the
still,
discussion.
yes,
We
you're
have
still in order.
closed.
you're not close.
We're not closed,
Yeah,
yeah.
we still have questions though.
Oh, okay, that questions.
Your interactions with the animal, do you feel like its behavior is caused by anxiety or reactivity, or is it like aggression?
I would that's a very, very fine line. I'm not sure what stems his aggression. I do know he's intact. That may be part of it. Initially, I would say he's protective of his apartment. However, when we remove him from his apartment and put him in the kennel setting, which is not his home, we don't see a change in that behavior. When I've seen him interact with the owner, you would think he's the most playful puppy ever. But for anyone who's not the owner, he becomes very reactive from what I've seen. And like I said, what stems that or causes that or what, I can't say, but.
You have questions?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Were you done?
Just one more. I don't have anything about animal abuse laws in Massachusetts. Is there like a reason why a number of these feel like they're animal abuse to my non-lawyer perspective? Is there a reason why the dog is still with this family?
So quite honestly, the two that she's been trending the gray area very, very well. The one that came the closest would be when the dog was in the crate outside. Unfortunately, upon our arrival, she immediately came outside and brought the dog inside. And we responded within immediately upon being notified the dog was there. However, allegedly the dog had been out there for many hours and no one wanted to call. Someone finally called us. So unfortunate. That would probably be the closest to, because you're not providing the dog proper housing. And the dog is not a Nordic breed dog. You're an old winter. You're having your dog in a crate outside. As far as the conditions within the house, it doesn't fit. Like there wasn't a huge amount of feces and urine throughout the house. There wasn't a huge amount. The house itself is very squalor, but it did not meet the level at where we could call it unfit housing. There was no food and water present at that point in time. However, the dog was not severely malnourished. It was not, when we got to the shelter, it did not inhale water, like it hadn't seen water in forever. So my suspicion is probably a toilet or something similar. I'm not sure. But she hasn't reached that area where we can definitively say, I can now charge you with felony.
Commissioner?
So whether we choose that the dog, there's three choices, obviously, dismiss or nuisance or dangerous. No, if we choose nuisance or dangerous, we can't add any stipulations to these.
Okay. So basically the nuisance allows you to add a situation that would relieve the issue that's being caused. A dangerous, you could add an additional stipulation like you must pursue behavior temperament training for someone with, but you must also pick at least one from that list if you go dangerous.
Okay, so we could add different stipulations, but we have to pick at least one if it's dangerous.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, my recommendation for the board, if you were to go dangerous, is muzzle, restraint, confinement, insurance. And quite honestly, I was just altering the dog, but that would be the five. That would be my suggestion to the board, given the dangerousness finding.
All right, I understand that now, so I'm good.
I didn't quite hear the fifth one.
If the board ordered the dog to be altered, neutered,
Yes.
it's an intact male pit bull, right?
Yes, okay. I mean, I've got my answers that I've needed. So,
Okay.
and we
Anybody
feel
else?
we're ready to,
And I don't
The
think,
next stage.
as long as the,
We have
as long as another complaint or someone has it pumped on Zoom that wants
Yeah,
to
I'll
talk.
just make sure there's no complaints on the Zoom meeting.
What is the statement that,
No, but we have to make sure that the complaint isn't,
oh, okay, oh, the complainants. Okay.
yeah, isn't on Zoom. If we are on Zoom. Raise your hand to speak up. Okay, so I will close the hearing at 7:33. Here's for precise than mine. So I guess we'll go into deliberations and what?
So would let me ask this question, Chair, the first thing we want to determine is one of the three categories, whether dismiss, whether a nuisance or dangerous. Then from there would be multiple discussions about the category, right? So that would be the first thing we determine.
Yeah.
To come to the determination, should we discuss what?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna
concerns?
have, that's what we're gonna have a discussion about, and then come to the
First,
determination,
before
yeah,
we determine.
before we come to a determination, yeah.
Yeah, so basically be your facts to reach your determination, and then after your determination, you would then take your facts and decide what remedies you want to put in place.
So, do any commissioners wanna have an opinion on a determination and why they picked that determination out of the three or statements?
I'm still processing here.
I guess for me, a lot of this, I'm just gonna make this statement, it might not be part of the determination, but I can tell you right now, for me, as one of 5 here, we're gonna have to pick either for nuisance or dangerous, we're gonna have to pick, a nuisance, we have to pick one of the categories too. For me, there would be additional things added. And I don't know if I want to state those additional things right now. I would want added. You referenced a few of those. But I would certainly would want to make statements that I would want to add things. It's interesting to me about this whole thing is determined around the dog and not the owners. Because in my experience with kids and dogs in life is that I'll give you an example. I used to teach martial arts and I had a kid that was just always in trouble and always causing problems and always mouthing off. And I didn't know why, and I couldn't figure out why. Well, I figured it out why, because I met the father. And that's why. So it's not the dog's fault in my mind here. It's the owner's fault. And everything is, to me, around this is based around the owner. So that's going to determine my outcome as far as what we can do to help the dog. Because
I'd recommend, if I may, real quick, right? So you're on the right, make sure you read. This should do most of the work for you. All right. And I say this to help ease the burden of you making a choice. It explains very specifically what a nuisance dog is. Right. So it gives you 3 things that after the facts that you heard, if that sounds more like a nuisance dog than the ones you read under the dangerous dog, your decision is made.
Right, and I'm
And
happy to-
again, nuisance dog can have attacked somebody. So what I'm asking is that, just advising, read where it says nuisance dog as defined. And then on the next page, read where it says dangerous dog defined. And then that helps your discussion as to
You
what.
are part of this discussion too, chief,
Yep.
because you are the authority that we've
Yep.
fallen under, because you're granted.
Absolutely.
Authority by this, by the city of Greenfield.
So what I would say is like this, to help that decision, a nuisance dog is defined as the following. 1, by excessive barking or other disturbance is a source of annoyance to a sick person residing in the vicinity, or 2, by excessive barking causing damage or other interference, a reasonable person would find such behavior disruptive to one's quiet and peaceful enjoyment, or 3, has threatened or attacked livestock, a domestic animal, or a person, Such threat or attack was not a grossly disproportionate reaction under all the circumstances. So that's nuisance dog. Not getting into the deliberation of what happened, but that's the definition of a nuisance, and as opposed to a dangerousness dog. After credible evidence, if the hearing authority deems the dog as a dangerous dog as defined, dangerous dog, a dog that either one, without justification, attacks a person or domestic animal causing physical injury or death, or two, behaves in a manner that a reasonable person would believe poses an unjustified imminent threat of physical injury or death to a person or to a domestic or owned animal. So now, having heard the facts, one of them definitions is more closely aligned with what happened than the other, in my opinion, and that's what the deliberations has to come up.
Is there double jeopardy for dogs? Like if we make a decision now, can this dog have another hearing in the future? But
So it could have another hearing in the future, however, it would have to stem off of a fresh event.
And again, whether we pick nuisance or dangerous, we could add things. We have to pick one of them 1 through 7. But, or,
If you do dangerous, you have to. You can apply the 1 through 7 to a nuisance as well.
Okay.
But you have to pick one. It's a shall pick.
so if we pick nuisance, there's 5, 6 categories on the nuisance, right?
They're all the same.
Okay, so if we pick nuisance, are all these gonna apply?
They're not ors. They're not ors, they're just,
Yeah,
there's your examples.
You could literally pick nuisance and say, I'm applying every single statute. The only one not listed here under nuisance, as I read through them real quick. Restrain, fine. The only thing not here is euthanasia. Is euthanasia is
Yeah,
number
that's the
7.
difference.
Yeah.
That's the 7th one.
Yeah.
Okay. And we could add.
Right, and so so the board, if they so chose to go that route, could add all those, and then, or sorry, I guess it's commission, not board, I apologize.
Yeah.
The commission could add all those, plus apply an additional if they wanted to add a training or something else in there.
But you couldn't apply euthanasia.
Yes, exactly. That's only for dangerous. Okay, all right, good. Thank you for explaining. Okay.
we don't have to apply one of the 6 if it's a nuisance dog.
That is correct.
Yeah, we
We
don't have
can
to.
just say training and not one of the 6. But with dangerous, you have to say one of the 6.
Yeah, we don't have to apply them for nuisance, but we would have to pick at least one for dangerous.
Right.
But we could also add things if we felt needed to add things for both. And we,
So is everybody fine with what we've discussed? Discussions, any further discussion?
I'd like to discuss the other side, the dangerous part, because the dog is impeding the quick response of public safety. It also, the delayed assistance to any medical emergency, because they have to wait until the dog is secure. Number one, to me, reading this, it is a dangerous dog. Nuisance, yes, on top of that, but it is clear by reading the definitions of a dangerous.
go ahead.
Yeah, I think the last 2 calls where animal control has had to go with first responders, no one has been attacked or injured, which that makes me lean more towards nuisance than dangerous. If every time first responders went, someone was attacked and injured, that to me would say dangerous.
So, never mind.
I think that what we need to also keep in mind is that the only difference really between dangerous and nuisance is the number 7, you euthanizing the dog. We can still make the recommendations on what is going to happen with the owner and the dog. All right, so I don't know if we should get too caught up with whether the dog's a nuisance dog or a dangerous dog. Because I mean, clearly, if you came in here, in my mind, if you came in here and said it attacked 5 people, we have 5 medical records, somebody really, so on and so forth, then it's obvious we could go right to the dangerous, but I would have to see, I am more siding with right now, right at this moment, nuisance dog. But there are some things that I'm gonna talk about that I would want to add to what's gonna take place. But that's my opinion. I would side with nuisance dog right now in this moment of time. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't want certain things to be put into place to make sure the dog and people are safe.
So my 2 cents is I very objectively say it's a dangerous dog. It bit one of our officers and it's attacked other first responders and it's bit people in the home. I say that knowing that there's an option to not have to put it down, but dangerous dog, it bit Officer Griffin and it also bit at Alyssa, who wasn't able to make it tonight. But I mean, it's dangerous. It's dangerous because I'm taking the word of our first responders and their fear of this dog. You don't have to kill it,
It's
but
right
it's
next to a
dangerous.
park too. and-
Right, that's a bigger
So
It's a bigger problem. I wouldn't want to risk my little kid walking by, we'll put it that way, right? So it's a dangerous dog that needs to be dealt with. And again, we don't have to put it down,
Yeah.
but it's not limiting that option. It's bit people at least 3 times, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going more on the definition and what I would want to see happen in the situation. My determination on this situation isn't gonna be any difference whether we pick nuisance or dangerous. I'm gonna still say what I'm gonna say. I mean, other than euthanizing the dog, I'm not for that. But I'm still gonna say what I'm gonna say, whether it's dangerous or it's nuisance. So,
So I would say, let's get a consensus as to what we believe. I mean, for me, it's a dangerous dog. If everybody wants to give their opinion, we go with the majority, then we'll
go the
determine.
majority, we go the majority, so. You think we're ready for,
I know I am. I've made my mind up only because 1 through 6 is the same in each category, but my opinion on this, I'm not gonna pull a vote yet. I'm just making a statement. My opinion is that I think the dog is a dangerous dog. I'm not ready to throw it to the curb now and say there's no hope for this dog.
Or the owners,
Yeah, or they're
going back to the. owners.
hopefully their owners pay attention to this and we don't see this back in front of us again, this
They
situation.
proactively mentioned a muzzle. Now, I know ACO and myself aren't really confident with that, but it won't hurt. Is
Mhm.
any step towards proactively
So
protecting
we can
people.
add to any one of these 6s, we can add our own stipulations
We can add
to them
on.
at the end. So I'm inclined, I'm inclined to say the dog is dangerous. I don't think the dog is. The dog has attacked other dogs. I mean, the dog is aggressive, the dog's aggressive to people. And I know, and I wouldn't, I can almost imagine that every first responder that I know that works for the city of Greenfield, all are animal people. I can say that probably without a doubt. So that's where I am. Commissioner, you had a thought?
Again, I'm not a lawyer, but from my research on this, is that this designation lives with the dog. And so has real impacts on housing for the owners, on whether it's going to be easy to rehome it. It's basically impossible to rehome a dangerous dog versus a nuisance dog. It also has an impact on placement in shelters. There is a real impact outside of just the 7 things that we choose that are the same. It's a designation that lives with that dog for the rest of that dog's life.
Yeah, my only comment to that is that I going on a report from what was happening at the kennel, I don't foresee this dog as being replaceable, being placed in another residence. I mean, because it was the shelter, you're not gonna get more caring people than what you're gonna get at that shelter. They all care for every animal that's in there, and they care about animals. And again, I agree that I don't blame the dog or the breed or anybody like that. I put the blame on the owners for not training their dog properly and making sure the dog is.
Is there any reports on owners that improperly raise their dogs? Lead it to potential euthanasia? I mean.
I don't, my question is, I know they have You can't take, that doesn't sound like you can take this dog to dog obedience class or anything like that, because I don't think it's gonna interact with other dogs very well.
You probably have to start with a reactive dog class.
Reactive dog class, okay. So I know mine had to get canine good citizen for my insurance purposes. So, yes, Commissioner.
Question. Once we get through all this, we determine what has to take place. If they don't follow that and it falls through, that's on the record, right? You'll know that, what will happen at that step?
So what happens is, I strongly recommend that whatever stipulations get put in place, have a time limit that must be put in place by, whether within whatever the commission feels. If they fail to do that, they are then found in violation of a dog order issued by the hearing authority, this commission. At which point the canine can be seized. It can be brought to the shelter. The dog owner then has 7 days to file a petition before this commission to have it heard, for you guys to review everything and then determine if the dog should be returned.
So with that, I go back to,
And
no,
just,
go ahead.
and just to clarify, and regardless, whatever the determination out of here is, they get served that, they then have 10 days to take that to the clerk magistrate's office to appeal it. And the clerk magistrate will look at all this and either change it, uphold it, or totally dismiss it himself. So there's always an appeal process for these owners as well.
I mean, I have the same concern as Commissioner Barger about the dog being placed with a label. Especially if they don't follow through, now it goes and it's seized. And now it has the label of a dangerous dog, which I mean, on all in all, I would say it's a dangerous dog. I'm not arguing that fact, but I'm also looking out for the dog more than I'm looking out for the owners.
What I can say, and as horrible as it is to say it, based on the disposition and the history of this dog is deemed unadoptable through our facility. So if this dog ends up with us, unfortunately, there's only one recourse for this dog.
Either way, whether it's labeled as a nuisance or a
Yes.
dangerous dog, either way.
With the bite history for the liability and everything, it would carry to
So either
rehome this
or.
dog. This dog, unfortunately, if this dog ends up with us, due to negligence of these owners, then there's only one recourse for this dog.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, so I think the chief would be a voted member of the commission too, because he sits on the board. So I guess we'll entertain a motion, we'll take a vote.
Will you pick one of, are you gonna pick one of them, like?
Well, let's start with nuisance dog. Or no action at all. Anybody want to take no action at all? Okay. Anybody that wants, let's move on to nuisance dog. Who feels that we should deem the dog nuisance? 2. Who, so I guess the other option is how many people think that the dog is a dangerous dog? 4, okay, so we'll label the dog dangerous, and now we have to come up with 1 through 7, which to me, the last one is euthanization is off the table.
Yeah.
I think it is all for all of us.
No, I get it.
1 through 7, plus we could add things
Right.
if we want, and so we should
Mhm.
So
discuss
number,
those.
yeah, so
Yeah,
number
but we're
1,
taking 7 off, so we're not.
We're taking 7, we're
euthanizing.
taking 7 off,
Oh,
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, 7's off.
I now here's my thing about the insurance. Are they gonna be able to? In my opinion, is insurance really something that these folks are gonna be able to afford? They probably don't have renter's insurance, so they can't add it on to that. So that would be a stipulation of violation if they don't do that.
Right, so they would have to petition 3 different insurance companies and then show that they were present to this commission that they were unable to obtain insurance. I believe is how it's.
Okay, so that's the way that would work.
Let me see, if a policy is not been issued, they shall produce proof of efforts to obtain such insurance.
So we're not gonna take the dog on that premise alone, just
As
because
long as they have the proof
can't
that they've
afford it.
attempted to obtain.
They tried, they got quotes and they just can't do it.
Right.
Okay.
I think the others are very common sense. What I would like to add, just my 2 cents for muzzling one, item 3. Is that also applies inside the house when and if first responders must.
In the house for business, anytime there's strangers or visitors to the house. Go ahead, Dave. Yeah.
I am gonna add something that's not on here, and I truly believe it has to happen. The dog needs to be fixed.
It's
It's in here.
It's,
that is number 6.
It's number 6?
yeah,
Okay. It's really, I mean, can we put timelines on these things?
I would highly recommend, otherwise they could take as long as they want.
Because this has to happen, because this is part of, outside of the owners not being, taking responsibility to train the dog. This has to be one of the first things that happens.
Right, I
Because
mean,
this is causing a lot of the aggression right here.
I would, but just because dealing with veterinarians all day long, getting animals in to get spayed, neuter, et cetera. I would say that quite honestly, a 60-day time limit to get the dog neutered is not unreasonable. Because I know like getting in, especially new appointment vets, getting in can be very hard right now. And it's sometimes 4 to 6 weeks before we can even get a shelter dog to get fixed.
If that's your recommendation, I mean, I'd like to see it happen next week, but
I just went through it. I just went through it and he's
yeah,
not.
no, it's fine. I think
It'll
it's
take a
fine.
while.
But it has to be one of the first things that they do.
I mean, I didn't go through it, the dog.
I mean, now what,
No,
now
That's why you act.
what the commission could do
very common.
is that within X period of time, they must have an appointment to be completed within
Yeah.
60 days.
Yeah.
That's bad.
So basically, it's two-pronged, like you have 15 days to get an appointment on the books and present your appointment. And then that has to be within the next 60 days, and then you have to keep your appointment.
I think giving them 3 weeks is reasonable to make sure that there's an appointment on.
Then they have to report their appointment upon getting it
Who
to.
they're having it with,
So,
and we can confirm. it can be
right,
confirmed.
so basically what happens with whatever you guys do with any timelines, we'll take those timelines and we'll do, animal control will do follow-ups to ensure those benchmarks have been made. And if they haven't, then we go down a different.
I have a recommendation. Can we just go from number 1
Oh,
all the
sure.
way down
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
discuss them
Yeah.
and decide and timeline them?
Yeah, that's a good
Um,
idea.
Yeah, just going back and forth is kind of killing.
exactly. Number 1, I would say immediately, the dog is restrained.
Yeah,
Just so that goes, there's a leash lining.
yeah,
Have to do that.
yeah.
And the dog confined to premises of the keeper of the dog.
So I just, I'm just gonna provide some background to the board as you're looking at that one. They are not going to be able to, based off of their situation, to comply with the outdoor confined pen, which that also requires.
Right.
I do believe that in taking part of that language, if you wanted to, that they must have a confined place inside that apartment, they can confine this dog. That is very reasonable.
I have a question. What about if they received some, is there any assistance out there for them to be able to put in a dog pen outside, like a dog, not a dog run, because
So,
The problem
dogs
we're
will
gonna
get,
find with
They
this
don't own
is
the property.
they.
I know they
And
don't.
they're massively at war between the owners. The owners are very interested in evicting.
And there's, and depending who you speak with, there's questions as to the legality of the tenancy of the apartment.
So
Exactly.
I would strike
Simple
everything after indoors on this, is that the dog, they must confine the dog inside, because the kennel being outside and being put in the kennel is not humane to the dog, period.
I mean, they left it out for 3 hours and
Yeah.
then that well.
I don't
so-
care if it's nice weather or not, it's still not a very humane.
So where does the dog go to the bathroom? Like, what is the?
Walk it.
They have to walk it, okay.
Close the door, close the bedroom door, then it's confined within a space inside the residence.
So they have the walk it, at which point number 3 comes into play. So when they leave the residence, it must be securely muzzled.
Absolutely.
But I want to add to that one, that it's also muzzled when someone responds to the residence, particularly the
Yes.
first responder.
Absolutely.
For that,
Okay, so going back to number 2 though, so confined inside no outside confinement, and what's the timeline we want to put on this?
Immediately. Cause that's not hard to do, put the dog in the bedroom when you're confining it.
I mean, the dog can go outdoors, it just has to be on a leash.
Leash, right.
They can walk the dog, they can take it anywhere they want, it has to be on a leash. It can never be not on a leash.
And I mean, and if, without the pen, again, a suggestion I would have for the commission is that it gets added in there, that it must be under the constant supervision of the owner. You can't just put the dog on a run and let it be outside.
Right,
It
yeah.
can't be, it can't be it
Because
can't be-
none of that is really gonna speak to that, none of those
Yep.
sections, because
Okay,
yeah.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. Who's drawing all this up? Somebody taking notes?
I'm
Commissioner at the
yes.
end.
Yeah.
Commissioner at the end is taking them.
Okay,
I was doing.
very good.
Okay, so then number 3.
Yeah.
I guess we kind of skipped over one. I don't understand what humanely restrained would mean. Like, how would you judge whether the dog was humanely restrained or not?
That just means tying it to a tree for 6 hours. You can't do that.
it's not him.
You can't leave it out during
So
20-degree
basically,
weather.
it's saying you must humanely restrain the dog. But it's telling you, you can't humanely restrain, like, quite honestly, them tying it to the dumpster is not humanly restrained.
So what is one say? We're like telling that they can't restrain it how they have been restraining it, or what is that like saying that they have to do?
You have to have it on a leash, you have to
Right,
have.
so,
it on
so
some kind of
basically, given their
control.
situation, they have to be outside with the dog on a leash.
Is that different than the leash one? Like,
Yes, because that is talking about removing it from the premises, so that would be removing it from 136 Conway Street.
oh, so like if they're in the backyard, it has to be restrained.
So, or if they're standing outside their door, just in the parking lot of 136 Conway Street, the dog has to be restrained.
How is that different than confined?
So the confine's only inside the house.
Yeah, it's
With
inside the house.
the way that we're wording. So basically, they have to have an area inside the house they can confine this dog.
Okay, so if they had a dog run that met the requirements.
Oh,
It could be in there. But as soon as they have a dog run that doesn't meet the requirements, it has to be restrained. Okay,
You think they could combine those two? Make it a lot
Okay, number 3.
simpler.
the issue with first response is that you never know when someone's gonna show up. And when the owner is not there to muzzle it, how is that gonna work? Like, is it humane to require the dog to be muzzled whenever the owner's not present?
No, I think it's just basically like if the owners, so when we've been there, people have been there. Without getting into the reasons why we're there, and again, in talking with them, the owners, that was their suggestion. That we get a muzzle and we can word it so as that if possible or if present,
If possible.
muzzle
Because the owner might be
muzzle
the
gets
one passed
installed
out
on the
that
presence
needs
of
medical
person.
attention and not
That's
being able
exactly
to do it, so.
I don't think anybody is unrealistic to the fact that if no one's there, obviously the dog's not gonna. It's just when possible, if you're there and we come, you must make every effort to quickly get that muzzle on that dog, so our first responders can be less afraid than they are right now. They don't wanna go there. So I'm sure if in a couple of occasions they respond and they get there and the dog is actually safe, we're gonna rest a little easier knowing.
So we can just say when possible, dog must be muzzled when first responders
Right.
I've been called.
respond to the
And
residents.
I would personally add in there when you look at 3, because that's with the muzzling speaker, like with first one. Also, when the dog's just outside,
When the dog is outside and being walked,
even on the property, the dog has to be
it
muzzled.
has to be muzzled, yeah, just in case it gets off a leash, we don't want it.
Well, and when you think of the location, it's literally their apartment, the dumpster, like a wooden fence, then the parking lot for the park.
Then the park, yeah, I know exactly where the house
Yeah.
is, so yeah, it is close proximity.
Okay, so, and is that gonna be an immediate, are we saying immediate
Immediate.
for number 3?
You can give them time to get a muzzle.
15 days to get a muzzle?
Or is there something
Today's
that-
a third.
Can ACO provide one or somebody provide?
It's,
So,
Until they get one.
I mean, the dog, this is really hard for me,
Expensive, are
this
they?
is the really hard topic, a muzzle, and I get why we have to do it. But the dog's really never gonna not have a muzzle on the rest of its life, unless it's inside the house.
Mhm.
And that's,
And with its owner.
that's pretty sad.
This
Dogs do like muzzle training, especially reactive dogs, if it's done right.
I mean,
I don't have a lot of-
we do muzzle training all the time with reactive dogs at the shelter.
All right,
For the sake of argument, I don't care for 4.
I don't know if we're not gonna get the owner, as Commissioner said, I don't think we'll get the
No,
owners to be able to afford
We can dump.
to have that, so that can probably go away.
So we'll astonish number 4.
Yeah.
From the, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 5, so we'll move on to 5.
I mean, 5, we want to know when the dog's off, that kind of stuff.
Five
Five
is
is
talking
the-
about ID for the dog.
Yeah, that should absolutely happen as far as I'm concerned.
Which is-
That's just responsible.
Yeah.
To my
Yeah.
knowledge, the dog is not microchipped right now.
That doesn't even, I mean, but they haven't even, I mean, a dog tag
Yeah.
or I mean, there's lots of different things you can do that are not expensive.
Does getting the dogs immune, shots and everything up to speed is covered under 5?
No,
Well, I
that
mean-
would have to be a separate.
That would have to be
But
separate.
it's a licensing requirement.
Yeah, but we can add that, we'll go in order and we'll add that at the end, so 5 has
Maybe
to
a
happen.
subset of it?
Yeah, so 5, and I would include microchip,
Okay.
Yeah,
How expensive is microchipping, do we know?
depending where you go, it's $30.
it's gotta be done.
Yeah, it's not expensive anymore. Used to be when I first was doing my dog.
So
$200,
microchip-
But now it's.
What type of time frame?
I would do that the same, whatever the timeframe that the commission decides at.
At the time of neutering.
He's
At
vaccinated.
the time of neutering, I would
And
say.
vaccinate, and at the time of.
Or if the commission's good, or the dog be rabies vaccinated, it could be the microchip same.
I-
Yeah,
I'm just talking as one of 5, I understand the 60 days for the neutering the dog, I get that. The vaccinations and the chipping have to happen way before 60 days.
I agree with that.
So can we add the vaccinations as a subset of 5? or
Yeah,
does it
so,
be separate?
ordering her to license her dog and to vaccinate her dog would be an additional add-on.
So 5 is a yes, we're gonna go do it,
And-
right?
And so you're gonna require her to provide ID,
Yeah.
including a microchip for this
Yes,
canine.
yes.
What time frame? How long you given her to microchip that dog?
What do you think is a reasonable time for them to make an appointment to get the dog, its shots and license?
So quite honestly, she could take the dog Saturday to Tractor Supply. and
I was
get
just
the
gonna
dog
recommend Tractor
vaccinated.
Supply.
And probably
They're cheap.
microchip.
Okay,
It's very
so I say
expensive.
immediately,
So if you give her 2 weeks, that's 2 Saturdays.
2 weeks,
Mhm.
yeah.
2 weeks from today, which would be what?
17.
What does microchipping provide here?
A permanent form of ID for that dog. So
So
basically,
you scan the dog.
I can run one of these over the dog, and it comes up with a unique serial number for that dog.
Are there animal control officers interacting with a dog that don't know it by now or wouldn't know?
Oh,
it?
quite, I mean, so this dog moves around.
Okay,
I know for a fact it's been at the encampment at Green River. So in theory, it's been in Athol, it's been in Orange, so this dog could appear anywhere. She's allegedly taken to New Hampshire before. So it applies one more permanent form of ID, so if something ever does happen, you can definitively tie it that this is. the
And they
dog.
can get their
I
vet
mean,
records.
they could drive it to a different state tonight and dump it.
okay.
So the dog, it's for the dog's sake more than people's sake, it's the.
Cause it'll come up, like
It's for the dog's
my
sake.
dog would come up as Edward Jarvis, give my address and my phone number, and you can update your information and they change it in the computer when they read your microchip number. So it's all changeable.
Okay, so then 6.
Okay.
We talked about some timeframes with that. We were talking 60 days, but we were also talking about
An appointment,
ACO, like an appointment within, what was it, 3 weeks or something?
I think 3 weeks is reasonable for them
And
to have an
then
appointment.
follow up again within 60 days to make sure it's actually happened or what?
Well, so it can be completed within 60 days, but appointment must be scheduled within 3 weeks. So whatever term you.
If the dog is aggressive because it's anxious, neutering an adult dog could make it more anxious and more aggressive as opposed to neutering it when it's younger.
It's a year and a half right now.
Oh,
It's
okay.
still plenty
I
of
didn't know.
time.
It's not horrible.
It's I wanna say it was just about a year when we had it in December, so, I mean, we're talking.
So it's actually probably a really good.
This is a good time.
This is
probably.
actually a good time
Yeah,
to get it
yes,
neutered.
yes.
Cause you wanna do it after they've gone through
Yeah.
their
Right.
first year.
That's a female after the first.
Yeah,
first
well, I know,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, the guys go through it too, just
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah.
Boys,
Tom's
Have a
still
different-
doing like everything
Teenagers
possible.
are doing that. So,
hormones are raging
Maybe
too.
Chris too, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I'm,
It's
so
a nuisance.
he's almost here. I'm showing a date of birth
It's
of 7
inapplicable.
23 24.
Yeah,
So he's almost here.
they're still within that time.
Yeah,
frame,
this is a good
But
time.
this isn't an ancient dog.
Yeah, if he was older, then it would probably have a reverse effect on it.
I think it's gonna make a world of difference.
So the other stipulation we want to
Yeah.
put on this dog is that it's licensed for the, with the city of Greenfield and up to date with all its vaccinations and shots
Yes. Within 2 weeks,
within.
2 weeks or
Yeah, that's what we get.
2 weeks is
Two
plenty.
2 weeks.
You don't have. to
Because they've
make
already had
appointments.
time.
Yeah.
They've already had time to do it too, and
If- well,
Tractor Supply,
yeah.
it is very inexpensive
yeah,
compared
that's
to
what
like
we
a
get.
vet. You know, I actually took my dog this year to
2
Tractor
weeks.
Supply.
I mean,
And they're
they
very
have to get
nice.
immune right away.
Yeah.
God forbid, like,
Right,
it
and,
may ha- it has to happen.
and given his demeanor, they can just let him know that he's not, he can be scheduled, and the track supply vets will
Yeah.
work with you.
Yeah, yeah, and they're very nice. They really are. Good
And
experience.
7, we have to officially say it's scratched. So,
Yeah.
7 is scratched.
And then at this point, you can, Chair, you can maintain or entertain a motion considering the appropriate sanction or action to be taken by the board. So I'm guessing that means what do you want to do if this stuff isn't followed?
Well, no, so what that is that now you guys vote that the dog, you reduce it in dangerous with the sanctions you guys just put forth,
Yeah.
and you guys would take your vote on that, to vote on that.
So we need to do entertain a motion on,
I'll motion that, a vote that the dog is, considered dangerous and that all the, stipulations that, we have written down that we talked about, we've agreed upon, and we've set timelines for those motions.
My second.
all those in favor?
And then,
Opposed? Seeing none, abstentions, seeing none, unanimous. And I'll call it closed at 8:10.
You have it all written down, Kellen?
I'm rewriting it so that it's not so messy, but yes.
Can you email it to me and I'll just let the board, I'll
Okay.
do the notifications to the owner.
Yeah,
Unless
then you
Kyle-
send
unless
us
you
a-
guys want. to
No, you can do it.
Okay.
Then the chief will send
I'll
a
do it.
copy of
I can
everything.
touch base with you and just make sure that everything's.
Yep.
You can send me a copy or anything, I'll forward it to the board.
Okay.
You get everything I got and again, the same thing I serve to the owners, you'll get. Yep.
Okay. Police
Thanks for
department.
taking those notes.
I will go back into our regular meeting at 8:10 now,
You guys will
and you
be,
guys are dismissed.
you guys will be happy to know Kyle dropped 2 more hearing requests off on my desk this week, so blame him. They will be nowhere near this long, I can,
If they make it to your desk.
Okay,
I will be calling them first.
we will be going back into regular meeting now.
You're welcome.
I will dispatch, are you awake?
I know.
This was a
Since the
long
crack of
meeting.
dawn.
This was a long meeting and part of it was my fault because I skipped the PD last month, so I'll take
No, that's okay.
responsibility. for
I
this.
just need to take a little.
We need to take 5, okay, give us a couple minutes.
That works.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you can hand out the paperwork.
Yeah.
was.
The
Yeah.
recording
You
will
wanna-
stay on, yeah, so we can, so
And
everybody
did you
just
want me
keep in
to,
mind.
when I type up this stuff and send it to the chief, do you want me to include you or?
We'll let the chief make his formal, and then I'll,
So just
then I'll
send it to
report
him and then
all the members,
Okay,
including the
perfect.
mayor, and everybody will have a copy of
Great,
it.
thank you. Am I working?
We can do what the city council does, if it goes over a certain amount of time, we get a stand up, right? For
I
actually
know.
going to- If we go into recess, I think we still do that, which wasn't a bad idea, because when I was on city council,
That's like 2 hours.
yeah, you sat there for 2.5, you used to sit there for 5 hours before you take a break, your feet would be falling asleep. Yep.
What a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I think it was the mayor who brought up the point that we needed to take stand-up breaks. As a retired nurse, she was like, we
Oh,
need to take stand-up breaks.
Yeah. I'm a nurse too. and
Yeah, there we go, we got
You do.
professional opinion.
Yeah, yeah. you
No,
absolutely do.
dispatchers too. You sit in that
Yes.
chair long enough and.
So you guys have special dispatch chairs though, isn't it?
Ooh,
You've
they
been
do
to
have
see our chairs?
some nice chairs.
No, I have not.
No, you should come and share it there.
Ours used to sit down and the back would fall off of it
Oh my
sometimes.
gosh, we're almost to that point, so.
That's
not bad.
Office chairs are just so like crazy.
I'm sorting to my car to get my
Yep,
water.
The problem with it though is that a dispatch chair is like $5,000.
Yeah.
They're expensive.
Mute it.
So we're,
Like their
Yeah.
esports team, with everyone.
Very good. Okay, thank you. We had to take a short recess. Thanks to everybody's patience out there. Okay, we're back. You could please introduce yourself.
I am Cindy Hunter. I'm the dispatch supervisor for Greenfield Police and Fire Dispatch. So for first thing was call statistics. For calls for service, dispatch entered 2,406 calls in the month of March. That was up about 10.1% from the month before. Calls in and out of the 911 system, 5,431 phone calls. Personnel and hours. I'm happy to say that we are still fully staffed, so I'll please keep your toes and fingers crossed. We've had I know that we'll talk about May next month, but we did, just to give you an indication, our vacation relief spot, which is still filled. We've had a drop in overtime hours from May to June so far. May was 171 hours. June is only 72 hours of overtime. So very excited about that. For our per diems for the month of April, unfortunately, they were minimal hours covered. We have 2 that are currently in or were getting to the end of their college semester. One was on vacation for a good part of the month, and one was still doing some training for a position at her current job. So we didn't have a lot of per diem hours for the month. I covered 96 hours, so the equivalent of 12 shifts for the month. And again, just to reiterate, and I know that you all know this and are in agreement with this, it saves overtime for the budget, but it also saves mental stress on the dispatchers. So anything we can do to help that.
Would the per diem cover your 96 hours or the 72 hours of overtime if you had more?
So I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
I guess if there was more per diem hours, would you work less or would there be fewer over?
Hopefully they would cover more of the 72 hours. I mean, they could certainly cover my hours, but my hours, no
Supervisory.
It's on salary, so I'm not getting overtime for those hours. So it just saves in general. So yes. So for training, we have now completed our fiscal year 26 required training. All the dispatchers have done their required hours. Just to give you an idea of what they did in April, we just listed some of the classes they took: conflict resolution, emotional survival for communications, burnout, fire communications, the look and feel of PTSD, active assailants, mental illness disorders overview, and recognizing domestic violence. I especially thought that the look and feel of PTSD was prevalent. We definitely seem like we have had an uptick in not just mental health calls, but dealing with veterans in our military. And so I think that that was really good training for some of them that took it. So for our grants now, because now all the training has been completed, now my work begins on applying for the reimbursements for that training. With the help of Judy Brown, the chief's assistant, who's also our payroll and admin person, she and I are working on the reimbursements for that. And then July 1st, we'll begin the new grant cycle. So we'll be applying for the dispatch training grant as well as the support and incentive grant as well. Let's see, on April 21st, we had our CJIS audit. If you notice, I gave you a handout that sort of explains CJIS if any of you or some of you are not aware of what CJIS is. It's a federal program that gives us access to run license plates, people's driver's licenses, criminal history, that sort of thing. So that just gives a breakdown of what CJIS is. So they came in and did an audit. It's a lot of things that we have to comply with. We had a few issues. I believe we had 5 or 6 issues, which she said is normal. So we're working on correcting those issues. I think 3 or 4 of them we've already corrected. They ask us things like looking at our policies and procedures, how we're entering things into the national database. It's quite extensive, but overall, I think we did pretty well considering, and I had never done that before, so it was very eye-opening.
So,
It's every 3 years. So once the audit was completed, I had 30 days to respond in writing to her how we were going to fix the 5 or 6 issues that we had. And then once that was completed, we have 60 days to complete the fixes. And so that is in the process now.
and these are functions for the dispatchers, not the officer.
Well, the officers have access to that as well.
They do. So
Yes.
it's all combined.
It's all
not-
combined, yes.
It's for their access too.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So one of the things I gave you was 2 commendation letters that I had given. I just want to recognize dispatchers Chelsea Reynolds and Mallory Burnett. They were involved in the call on May 3rd, where a 5-year-old child I think it was a 5-year-old child, was reported to not be breathing and turning blue. They had responders there within 2 minutes. The officer discovered that the child was in fact not breathing and was turning blue. And steps were taken on the part of the fire department and the police department, and that child is actually okay now. So I want to commend them for a job extremely well done. They worked very well together and with our partner first responder agencies.
Please give me Martin. Thank you.
I absolutely will. And then I just wanted to reiterate what the chief had said at the beginning of his comments, that the Donshift family, we in dispatch certainly send our hearts and prayers out to their families. Dimitri, Katerina, Emily, and Mark, they all were church family of one of our dispatchers. And so I know this has hit her particularly hard. And so, but she's very thankful for all the support that everyone in the first responder community has given to her. So, but our thoughts and prayers go out to that community and that church family.
On the 5-year-old child, I'd just like to say, I know I was talking to the chief afterwards and the attendant at the hospital, I believe, if I get this wrong, chief, you can let me know, said that that child survived because of the quick reactions and the care that child received from all of our first responders. Now, that was the attendant physician at the ER that made that statement, so.
High praise.
So that the attendants don't usually hand out praise like that unless it's justified. So the people in Greenfield can take pride in their first responders that we're getting that kind of recommendation from the ER personnel that they did an outstanding job and they really made a difference in some family's life that had a positive outcome.
I would also just like to add one more thing, just from today. As the chief had mentioned, there was a individual found in the river today, unfortunately. I just wanted to commend the 2 dispatchers that were working, dispatcher Megan Cullen and dispatcher Amy Foot. Between 7 a.m. this morning and 7 p.m. tonight, dispatch entered over 80 calls for service. They were really busy all day. And for whatever reason, mental health was prevalent today. And so they did a great job, and I'm proud of all of them.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
always, I'll tip my hat to the dispatchers every single time. They do an outstanding job. Sometimes they get overlooked, so.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know that they do as well. We would, I just commend all of the agencies that we work with. They mostly well-oiled machine most of the time. I think
Yeah.
it's great, so.
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Thank you for everything.
We're doing budget.
Huh?
We're doing budget. It's much.
Oh, shoot, yes, did you want to touch on your budget real quick, or no? It's up to you. It's on the agenda. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah,
it's okay.
thank you. I think I didn't even read my notes.
No, it's okay. You got back about this.
You thought you were gonna get out of it, you just said, oh, you forgot about it. So if you wanna just touch on your budget, you can, where you are now, and then are you feeling comfortable?
So Chief Dodge is bringing me into this slowly. I
Yeah.
don't know, he is mostly the caretaker of our budget, I guess. I know that he did ask for an increase this year. Dispatch has never had line items for office equipment and for supplies and that sort of thing. So I know it does look like we're asking for quite a large increase, I guess, but in reality, I don't think it's, I understand trying to see both sides of things.
Yep.
So we just appreciate your support as a board and the citizens and the mayor and the town council, our city council, and
We'll get you used to speaking
we're doing our
budgets.
best to keep, to keep overtime down and,
Yeah.
cut where we can, so,
Very good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, the fire department. Hey, you guys get to move up the ladder next week, so. Next month, or at the end of this month. However you wanna look at it,
Later
later this month, exactly. Oh, my goodness.
Start state.
You can call in. We called in last year. We called in last year. I was driving. Yes.
Okay, could you introduce yourselves for the people out in public?
Yep, Tran Fire Chief, Emergency Management Director, City of Greenfield.
Thank you.
Peter McIver, Deputy Fire Chief, Greenfield Fire. So I'm gonna start off by saying, I wasn't supposed to be here tonight. I had other commitments that was gonna take me away, but I was able to come. But with that said, I did not prepare the report for tonight. The deputy did. So I'm going to turn it over to the deputy and be here to answer any questions that are necessary. Before we start, I can't get into details or specifics, but we've had another tragic event today that you'll be hearing about probably in the next day, and our thoughts and prayers are gonna go out to everybody involved in a very horrific situation that you'll hear about later. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to the deputy chief at this time.
Thank you. May was a very busy month. That seems to be the trend of tonight's discussions. But the Massachusetts has sort of had this unknown how they want to handle food truck inspections. Which has left a lot of local departments to sort of figure out how to proceed on their own without state guidance. And the chief had proposed that Franklin County sort of look at that in more of a collaborative manner. Greenfield, fortunately or unfortunately, hosts a lot of the food truck traffic that comes through Franklin County. So in collaboration with some other Franklin County fire departments, our prevention crew put together our first Franklin County food truck inspection event. Unfortunately, the weather was pretty crummy and didn't yield a whole lot of participation, but it did give us some foundation to work with. We established contact with other Franklin County fire chiefs, sort of set a standard, shared what we use for.
Engine 3, respond to fire alarm sounding at 369 Federal Street.
I had shut that off, but it times out and resets because your meetings run so long tonight. So,
General, 36973 for reporting of fire alarm sounding, called in by employees, fire job activation, just cover fire.
So that allowed us to sort of share what we've been using as best practice for food truck inspections, which we've been fortunate enough to be able to hone in on because we've done so many of them. The intention of having a food truck event was sort of to pull all the trucks over the course of a day to get them inspected. We had stickers made so that we could quickly identify those that have been permitted and inspected through the department, meet the baseline standard, and sort of streamline events throughout the calendar year. So we're still continuing with that throughout the year. We're still issuing them as if they had attended this event. And now that progress has gained some traction in Western Mass, and Western Mass is sort of looking at a collaborative effort down the valley. So sort of carrying that forward and moving up, that should hopefully streamline how the county and the rest of Western Mass looks at food trucks. Wormtown has a lot of resources that are dedicated to it. That took place over Memorial Day weekend. Anytime you take 6,000 people that are outside of Greenfield that travel into the city, you are bound to have things that occur. So with that, it was a pretty mild weekend. They're traditionally speaking very busy for the hospital, sometimes very busy for EMS, and this festival was very calm. So not a whole lot of transports or impact to the hospital system over the weekend. And there's no cost to that detail to the city or the department. That is paid for by the contracting agency, which rolls into Green River Fest, which we'll have more to share in June because that's when that event occurs. But as with any very large event, planning is long before the event happens. So Green River Festival contracts a whole variety of vendors that deal with their security and safety plans. So we work closely with their crew to make sure that all of the city's interests are covered and taken care of. Payroll updates, very much the same of last month. Less overtime, less time off, but otherwise pretty consistent. Budget updates. We are not going to finish the year in the black.
I'll take over budget conversation, save the deputy. This fiscal year, we've had 4 retirements, which has had a significant impact to our operating budget. There is money that has been set aside from the city budget for this, but it is going to be a challenge. In addition to that, with the amount of folks that we've had out in the last year, our overtime was high. We had to offset some costs by a hiring of a firefighter. So our budget is not in good shape, and we are working closely with the mayor's office and accounting to balance that out, to have as least amount of impact at the end of the year as possible. We put our spending freeze. The city had a spending freeze that came in, I think January-ish. We stopped spending any money in November. So it's this year's been a real challenge. And then next year's budget, I'll hit on now as we go forward. You know, I don't envy the mayor's job. I don't envy the finance director's job on trying to fund every department in the city. And so the best effort was put forward to make sure that the impacts to the departments were minimized the best that they can. With that said, though, the fire department had to shift a salary to the ambulance revenue account. We are not filling one of the lost firefighters so we're losing one through attrition. And we lost, we've did a layoff notice to our part-time administrative assistant helping fire prevention. So on top of that, the operating side is a lot of things have been shifted. But I don't want to sound like I'm doom and gloom, because as you know, as problematic that things are, the mayor did everything in her power to minimize it as much as she could, and we're grateful that the outcome is what it is. We will get by in next year's budget. It is going to be tight. One of the things that the mayor's office and finance department did do, I've been speaking on it for about a decade now, and that is IOD coverage. That coverage, when a firefighter or police officer goes out on injury, there's a policy that gives money back into the department to cover the loss of that firefighter while they're out on injury. The city, many years ago, probably close to 15, 20 years ago, had decided that it was not economically feasible to do that. I've been banging the drum hard on this, and the leadership with this mayor and the finance director, they really did a deep dive into how much we were spending on IOD versus what the policy, and they found that it's absolutely more cost effective to have the insurance. They have implemented the insurance, so the big overtime that puts us over our allotted overtime should have a dramatic impact on that. So we're in vacation season right now, so you're gonna see a big increase in overtime over the summer. And it's even more impacted when you have people that are out on injured on duty. We currently have one out on injured on duty and one long-term leave right now. If that was to occur after July 1, the new policy would kick in and it would help us make sure that we're covering shifts. So we're grateful for that. You know, I really can't say it enough, the mayor's leadership with the finance director, that will have a very positive impact on the fire department.
Is that 75% reimbursement, something like that? It was never 100%, well, there was some.
It's never 100%. It's actually a dollar figure. It gives you per week a lot of money that covers the backfill and overtime or costs associated with the firefighter.
I thought the last time it was like 75%.
Yeah, it's a number now. It's not
It's a number now,
percentage.
not percentage.
Yep. Again, thank you.
It helps out greatly.
Thank you. So next year is going to be tough, but we're stand ready to get through it, and we will. I think we'll be okay. And if we have to, hopefully there's an opportunity to go back for supplemental money if it becomes available. But we will. I think we'll be okay. So, sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. Thank you. If there's no other questions on budgets, responses for the last 30 days, we had 379 incident responses. 111 of those were primary transports. 9 refusals. And provided mutual aid 3 times and twice with the ambulance. In the past 2.5 hours, we've had 6 incidents just while we've been in this meeting. There is only one notable incident, which I'll hit on briefly, but notably for the month of May, we might see a day, maybe 2 in a month that will hit 20 calls or so. I think in 1 week in May, there were 3 days in that same week that they hit 20 calls. We have, I'm interested to see what the end of year numbers are for us this year, because it has been absolutely crazy, crazy busy. So,
do you have a sense of like what is causing
More people than ever call 911? No, I mean, so there hasn't been a big shift in our call statistics that would point it in one direction or the other. Like, we're not doing any more medicals than we have been versus fire calls. Those percentages still remain the same. We just do a lot more of all of them. But certainly if that shift changes at all, we're always analyzing that data and sort of try to mitigate where we can.
Yeah, to give you an idea of what a shift looks like, just starting of this shift, multiple calls, multiple medical calls, multiple primary transports, a couple car accidents, a natural gas leak in the morning that started the morning off, a couple fire alarms, an aircraft standby, a recovery of a deceased person in the river, and more medical calls. So and I would say that that's an unusual day for Greenfield Fire. I can't tell you that anymore. That is becoming more and more the norm. Group 3 last week had a car accident on the highway that the car barrel rolled three times or so. Lifelight, it was mentioned earlier. They had an engine and ambulance that responded. We tried to get more help. Help was unavailable. Turner's ended up coming in and covering a couple calls within the city, including the helicopter standby. And so we have met with Turner's Falls Fire to really start having discussions about we are having some coverage issues. And the expectation that the city had, I think 10 or 15 years ago, that a fire truck would show up in 10 or 15 minutes. We're going to do our best. And this has nothing to do with the budget situation that we're going in. It just has to do with where we are as a department. It's unbelievable how busy these guys are. And they do a great job. But it wasn't like that when I was a firefighter.
The notable incident that's noted in the report is the same that was spoken about earlier. I think there are some key factors that went into this being a successful event, which is our partners at dispatch had immediately notified not only police, fire, and the ambulance, but just about simultaneously had all of those resources responding to this address. And you could probably throw a stone in here to get there. So like all of the right factors, and the patrol unit was like turning onto Main Street from this address. So if it weren't for the fast actions of the police officer that was there first, I think they set the motion in the right direction, and the work that our crew was able to do, I couldn't be more proud of Greenfield's first responders. So
it's really like a chain, and some people don't understand the necessary part of the chain. It starts with the call taker and our dispatch, and then the dispatch agencies and police getting there and starting the process until we get there, until the medics get there, till we get it to the hospital. And that chain of events, if you will, has been successful time and time again. I was talking to the crew the other day, that was in the last 2 months, there's been 4 saves. Well, again, I go back to when I was on the floor, you wouldn't get that in a year. And it's because of the system that's been designed by the city of Greenfield, and the partnership that we have with our dispatch, our police officers, our firefighters, and AMR, and everybody coming together and quick response, and everybody working together. The results have shown for themselves. But having appropriate staffing and the appropriate response levels
Collaboration.
Would you say that a lot of the training that, everybody receives is kind of consistent with, collaborating services and stuff? So that probably has.
It goes beyond that, though. It goes to the fact that your responders, whether they're police or fire or ambulance, they're the most dedicated, compassionate, smart, people that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And it's really something to see when as the chief of department, I will often go on high acuity calls and help out where I can, but stay out of the way most of the time and go so I can experience what these responders are going through from the police officers and the firefighters. And just to see how it doesn't matter what badges or patches on their sleeve, right? Everybody's working together for the same, and it may have happened in the past, not like it is now. I mean, it's like, if it wasn't for the uniforms, you wouldn't even tell what agencies are working for. So I get impressed every time I go.
That's our report.
Questions, comments?
No?
We appreciate everything you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we hope that things go well in front of Ways and Means and the council. And, again, hopefully they look at the data. And then we're gonna call like this that happens in May, and they realize the importance of the staffing, amounts of staffing. Would that cop not have turned that corner and been there and been on another call if we had less people? I'm not saying that the person wouldn't have been saved, but I'm just saying, as the chief said, it's a chain and everything lines up, and staffing is a big part of that chain. Thank you for what you do.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you in a few weeks. So we didn't get minutes, so we'll just move those to the end of the month to approve. So I'll take a motion to do that, to approve, so we'll approve March, April, and May, this meeting.
I'll make a motion that we entertain reviewing and approving those minutes for March, April, and May.
Yeah.
At the next meeting
Very good. All those in favor? Okay. So I will set the next meeting at the June 24th, 6 p.m. at the fire station, and everybody all set with that? Very good. Do we need a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, you never get anybody to say no, not in favor, I want to say.
yeah.
Very good, we're done.